Welcome to play day 5 of the Canada division. Today, Altiora versus Nordik. This matchup will determine who gets second and third in the Canada division. I'm Jackie Jing, and right now I'm with Intero and Kix. Decided to wear my glasses, my grandpa glasses, just in honor of Intero. I don't know whose are better though. I kind of like your black frames. Mine are a little bit more see-through. Kix didn't get the memo, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have any glasses, unfortunately. I do need them, but I don't have any.
Oh, I was going to say, do you have great eyesight? Because I'm definitely not in that boat.
No, I just... Right now is not a great time to get checked out by an optometrist, and then I was living in Europe for a few years, so I...
Valid.
Anyway, I just make it do.
You're working on it. Yeah. Okay, that's a WIP for sure. Anyway, so how y'all feeling this Friday? We just picked Kix's brain about glasses, so Intero, how you feeling, man?
I feel good. I was gonna make a joke about how it looks like you're trying it. I was gonna make a joke about how you're looking like you're trying out for a role on the remake of the movie Jaws, but with those glasses. But I wouldn't do such a thing. I think that'd be rude to you.
So then you just said it.
He didn't.
No, I specifically said I wasn't gonna say it, so I didn't actually say it. I said what I was gonna say, but that was it.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. That was so very kind of you. Gentlemen, y'all ready for this? You ready for Altiora versus Nordik? Sure. Okay. Well, we will get to that. But really fast, a quick word from our sponsors. Alrighty, now let's take a look at our bracket, talk about what is happening today. We told you at the top of the show, Altiora versus Nordik. So that's the big one today for the Canada division. So Mirage defeated Altiora last week. Mirage advances to the NA Major Qualifier, which starts tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're watching, make sure you mark your calendars for that. Mirage will be taking on Dark Zero. They are the first matchup tomorrow. You do not want to miss out on that action. Super excited. This win does matter though, gentlemen, because it does determine seeding for stage 2. But just want to pick your brains. I mean, we're almost done with stage 1, and it's been a lot of fun working with y'all. Kix, I'll put you in the hot seat first. Almost done with stage 1 here. How you feeling about it?
You know, it's just another stage, another season. You know, I'm kind of, I think it's kind of used to this. It all becomes a blur at some point. I think that over this stage we had some of the best competition we've ever seen in Siege. One thing that I really like is that the gap between the top teams and even the bottom team in North America, it seems to be fading away as the years pass by, and the level that we can see teams ascend to is at an all-time high. Coupled with this, we've got a format that I think is really amazing. So if we're saying how we feel about the stage overall, I think it's been fantastic. Some of the best competition we've ever had in Siege, all in one season, or one stage in this case.
Yeah, how you feeling about Intero? Stage 1.
I feel really good. I'll echo what Kix said. I think North America and the US division in particular has made leaps and bounds. You know, there used to be a period of time where NA would maybe have 1 or 2 teams that would be competitive on a global stage, and that was it. And now it definitely seems like the top 3, top 4 teams in the US division are capable of going to bat, you know, against the best in the world. And when you look at the lower portion of the US division, the other 4 teams, I think they've exceeded my expectations for the most part. And then you turn your sights to the Canada division, and I think they've done better than I thought they were going to do as well. And US Challenger League, which we'll see the exciting conclusion of, at least for this stage later tonight, I think they've done exceptional too. I've been a very vocal critic of what I think are some major issues that the amateur scene in North America has, and lazy players and, you know, lack of discipline, etc. Maybe they still are, but at least they look better in their matches than they did before, and I think that the U.S. Challenger League is definitely in a better place than it has been before.
Yeah, we do have some U.S. Challenger League action later today, but just to refocus back on this matchup, how do y'all think today's going to play out between Altiora versus Nordik? Kicks?
I'd say that these teams are fairly closely matched. In terms of actually, I would say I think that both these teams are the two closest matched in the Canadian division of all four. But that's not necessarily clear, given that they haven't played against each other. We often, in the same way with anything in Siege, sometimes looking at it from the outside, when you don't know what it's actually going to be like, it's like, oh yeah, these teams should match up well against each other. Then when you actually get into the rough and tumble, things play out a little bit differently than you anticipate. So there's a strong possibility here this could be a landslide. I just think, yeah, these are probably the two closest teams in terms of talent overall in the Canadian division.
What do you think, Intero? Intero, why don't you play a song for us and sing how you think Altiora versus Nordik will go down?
No, I think Kix's haiku last Friday will probably fill the quota of artistic stylings on our broadcast.
You can at least show us, right?
But I appreciate it. No, I mean, between these two teams, I mean, I kind of have a...
Boo, I want to see the guitar.
No,
Boo.
not. No, boo, no boo.
Okay, fine. Talk to us about Altiora versus Nordik, fine.
Nordik absolutely annihilated Livid, so much so that it slapped two of the players of Livid off of the roster. They announced that they made some roster moves last night. I think for Livid's sake, probably wise, because they are the only squad that has played the way they have and at such a poor level. Nordik has surprised me. Altiora, I think, hung in with Mirage closer than I had expected, but a lot of that was off map 1. Map 2 and map 3 were pretty decisively Mirages, and a lot of those rounds were not particularly close. So this is going to be a statement match for both these teams. Yeah, it affects seeding for the next stage. Yeah, it impacts prize pool, but for me, this is about sending a message. Did Altiora make it into the fight against Mirage for that Canada division spot because of the luck of the bracket, or did they actually deserve to be there? Which of these two teams is going to come out on top? That's the question that I want answered.
Me too. So let's get to the action. Gentlemen, I'm going to allow you to start prepping for the matchup, and I'll check in with y'all later. Bye. See you in a little bit.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie. All right, let's get things underway. Michael, what are your expectations before... actually, you know what? Let's bring up the bands underneath us, and then we'll talk over top of them. Yep. What are your expectations based on what we've seen of these two teams compete?
Again, I said it in the lead-in just now. I think these teams are fairly well matched. I'd say that Mirage and Nordik, you can make an argument for them being closer in terms of talent. Really, again, as this whole stage has been for this division, it's going to be another match of discovery. You can kind of try to line things up based on relativity, based on, eyeballing it, but really until they actually go head-to-head, you can't know. And since these teams don't have a history of going head-to-head exactly, we're going to find out. Here we go. We'll get the band phase going, or the veto phase. Coastline and Villa. Looks like they'll be our first two maps, so we already know what we're getting ourselves into early, and that'll be interesting to play on. Oregon will be map number 3. We've got them all. Coastline, Villa, Oregon.
These are going to be some brawl-heavy maps, with Oregon and Coastline obviously on the docket, though Oregon might not be needed. I expect 3 maps out of these teams. Both of them were able to beat Livid, to the point that Nordik obviously had a much better showing, but I think through that second map on the Nordik Livid matchup, it looked like Livid just kind of stopped trying to a certain extent. It looked like they'd lost that motivation, they'd lost that spark, and it was all over but the crying. I don't know if there was team turmoil, which is what ended up leading to these roster moves, happening. Who knows? Brian, by the way, is back in professional play. Welcome back, Brian. He's one of the 2 pickups for the Canada division for Livid's roster, and I think it's very well deserved. I think Brian's a very talented player, and it's going to be nice to see him back. But these are interesting. These are interesting maps. Coastline and Oregon, obviously, it's just going to be about pugilism. Villa is going to be very strategic. There's going to be a lot of things to check off on that list, as we talk about many, many times. And I'm actually kind of excited to see, because Nordik made huge improvements against Livid than they did against Mirage, or huge step up over their match with Mirage. So I imagine that with all this downtime that Nordik has had, they've probably continued to make those improvements.
Well, I would hope so, right? And of course, going into this, the expectation is there that Nordik will take second. They certainly gave Mirage the hardest run for their money, I'd say. You had 2 7-3s there in that Mirage Nordik match, but that's better than the 7-2 and the 7-3 Altiora had against Mirage in their series. So by one whole round. So we'll figure out how that's going to actually pan out when we get into it. Yeah, I mean, I'd say looking at maps, I got Coastline, Villa, Oregon. There's not a whole lot to say about these teams in terms of maps because they've only seen them play like twice each. But Villa's been played by Altiora. They lost it to Mirage. Coastline's been played. They lost it to Livid. And they did win on Oregon.
The only map, by the way, that Livid has won so far.
But the
Coastline. It was the only map that Livid has won so far.
Yeah, they had a really rough season. So the fact that Coastline is being won by Livid over Altiora does not bode well, at least in that facet of this ban phase.
Yeah, if you look at the Mirage Altiora matchup, that Oregon was a little bit, it was a little bit troubling if you remember. There were lots of mistakes that were made. Mirage needed some time to wake up, but then they absolutely dominated on both Villa and Cafe, both of which tend to be a little bit more strategic of a map. And given what we've seen out of Nordik, the way that I would, I guess, kind of qualify these teams is that Nordik seems more like a team of players. Altiora still doesn't strike me as a squad that's fully synergizing and playing with that level of chemistry.
That's fair.
But they make up for it by having some really good aim and some really good mechanically gifted players as well as good game sense. So while they might be more of a collection of individuals that are working in a team rather than a full-fledged team, I think that they have some strengths there. And when you look at a map like Villa, obviously the team that works as a team is probably going to do better just because of the way that the map tends to play. It's a very strategic map. There's a lot of things you need to do, especially with what we've seen out of that bottom floor bomb site and kitchen now. There is a laundry list of objectives for you to go through before you can take proper control and attack that bomb site, unless you just rush right in and go for broke. I think that will definitely help Nordik. And given the fact that Altiora had a pretty poor performance against Mirage on Villa, I would imagine that should be a safe bet for a map, just in hypothetical and just in and of itself. But we'll see. I mean, we don't play games in theory, we play games in practice, and we're moments away from being able to get into this one.
We're just waiting for the players to all be ready, and then we can go ahead and load in. So again, just as a reminder to everybody, what's on the line here is essentially just standings and a little bit of prize pool. This is the decider match for the second place and third place for the Canadian division. And that's a difference between $4,000 and $4,800, if I'm not mistaken, for the prize pool. So there's not a crazy difference here in terms of that. It's, I think, mostly just for, bragging rights and, stance, I suppose, leading forward. But other than that, not a whole lot on the line. I think both of these teams can take this one a little bit light. I don't know if they will. I think the main thing is that they're going to be trying to prove themselves here, as the Canadian division has been trying to do throughout the entirety of this first stage. And I anticipate that we'll see some exciting gameplay, if off of nothing else than just that.
Yeah, I mean, $800 US is basically $10,000 in Canada. So obviously There's a lot on the line here for these teams.
Right.
With our loonies and our toonies, so we can go buy a bag of milk. That was my best corn pop / Jesse Chick impression, by the way. So let me know how it did. I know Jesse's watching this. I know that man does not sleep. He does not rest. He PVRs all the matches that he doesn't get to watch live, and then he studies up on them, and then he sits at his breakfast table on Saturday morning and he puts a comprehensive video out for everybody to see. So obviously, by the way, he's been doing an excellent job as another Canadian talent coming on in. And, the only other Canadian talent before me was Flynn, who's now competing, obviously, for Mirage. But I've been extremely impressed with Jesse. He'd been a part of the Canadian Nationals last season with Flynn and Hunter, if I remember. But he's been doing an awesome job. So huge props to him. And if you're watching this broadcast and you don't follow this man's content, you need to be. You need to be following it. It's worthwhile.
Certainly is. So, still waiting for everyone to get ready. You can see on your right there, Nordik's all prepared and ready to go. We're just waiting for one more player on Altiora's side before we get things underway. Get ready for some exciting action once we get it all sorted. We're not quite there yet, but we're very close. Oh, don't forget, for a limited time, you can support Rainbow Six Pros and their teams and all that with 30% net revenue split equally amongst the Phase 3 teams. And you will look pretty awesome doing it if you do pick up the Pro League set. So it's a good way to support the teams and the players and all that, while also simultaneously getting some pretty awesome skins in-game.
Yeah, you literally get to have some skin
In the game?
in the game. I'll see myself out now.
I love it, Parker.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. All right, we're almost ready to get on in. You've been staring at the players long enough. Now our gracious, or our gorgeous mugs, rather, will be back on your monitor for you to look longingly and endearingly at both Kickstar and myself. I know that our pretty faces is 1/8 of the reason why you're here. We have everybody in the lobby, so we should just be seconds out from starting Coastline. It's going to be what I imagine to be a raucous affair. And there's a lot to prove here, and there's a lot on the line. You want to take a prediction? Because we don't do predictions usually. We're not Veli and Jesse. Do you want to do a prediction?
No, not really. But
all right, well,
probably. I mean, let me see. Let me think about this for a second. Probably Nordik. It's off the cuff. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a strong prediction just because I haven't seen these teams match up against each other. There's nothing reasonable to actually bet on there. All that relative performance against other teams really doesn't work the way that some people seem to think it does. Teams play differently, and so we're gonna have to find out today. But I can't really give much of an edge to anyone, really.
All right, well, I'm gonna pick Altiora just because you picked Nordik. So
there you go.
That's I have no choice. I have to choose. And I don't have Jesse feeding me lines. I don't have Jesse being like, take Nordik, they're better on everything. Or he's like, take Altiora because here are their map stats and here's their cost, and I'm big brain. No, I don't have that. So I'm big brain. I told Veli to call Jesse a nerd because Jesse's so big on numbers, and I was like, Veli, you need to call him a nerd. Just call him out. Just be like, that's nerd stuff.
What did Veli say?
I don't know because I don't think Veli called him it.
Oh.
But
disappointing.
Oh well.
I think he
Veli's ready to scrap on that desk, I feel like. I feel like he's ready to start dueling.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, well, that's Veli though. You know, he's good. He is that guy. He's really good at it. And we will corrupt Jackie and make her start talking smack as well. Yeah.
With
eventually. Wait, did I predict Altiora? I thought I predicted Nordik. Well, I guess they've been flipped.
Yeah, they're swapped. So Nordik's mine.
The predictions have been flipped.
I predicted Altiora.
All right.
Well, I guess I'm picking Nordik now. There you go. Hey. All right. There you go. We nailed it. All right. We got the match ready for you. So no more of us. Now to the action. So let's get things underway. Let's get started with map number 1. On the line, 2nd and 3rd place in the Canada division. Obviously important from a seeding perspective. Also, $800 between the two of these teams, depending on whether you finish 2nd or 3rd. That's a small fortune up here in the Great White North. So, first ban, Hibana. Predictions for the 2nd ban, Michael?
Jackal. Hibana makes sense on Coastline because you want to get rid of one of those hard destructors. She's the only one in professional play right now that can ranged hard destruct, so that's why you get rid of her. It'll be Lion as the 2nd ban, so clearly something that Altiora just doesn't want to deal with. Fair enough to them. That's their call. which means, hey, Jackal will be in play. I don't see that every day. Defensive bans, Valkyrie. Okay. Valkyrie as an operator is mostly, she's pure information, but she's mostly useful on the coastline and consulate and maps where you can get a camera outside and see the majority of the map and kind of, plan out your defense. Mirror will be the final ban, which means Echo is still in play, which will give us probably a lot of him being used.
All right, so, Jackal, Michael, really? What is this? My silver level ranked games?
I don't know, man. I mean, Jackal's actually really... Here's the thing, though. Jackal, like Capital, as you can see on your screen, is one of the more useful operators on coastline in particular. It wasn't just an arbitrary, Jackal. It was that on this map, there are very few places to hide already. When you bring a Jackal to the field, there's even fewer places to hide.
Fair. Very fair. Very fair. Fair enough. We're going to see Yana get played. She's not a staple just yet. Her pick rate has been quite low, actually, hovering around the... What is it? She's been hovering around like 5 to 10%, somewhere in that window. I remember you pulled up the stats. You crunched the numbers last time, if I remember.
It's definitely more played in the European league, so it's sometimes hard to tell. I mean, like, which one we're talking about. If we're talking about U.S. division, she's got a 4.7% pick rate. And if we're talking about the European League, let's see here, 21% pick rate, 22.2% ban rate. So a whopping 23.2% influence rate.
5 seconds to insertion.
All right, so this is going to be a kitchen defense, but it does appear that Nordik will put some of their operators up top. And, well, that's not a bad thing to do. You're going to want to roam and you're going to want to play off-site to try and slow down the attack as best as you can. Storms will endeavor to hang on to that 90 position. He's got 2 ADSs on the wall to his left with a shield in front of him. Then in front of that, there's the doorway into VIP with 2 magnets above it, and they will catch anything that gets thrown, tossed, shot through, and he gets droned out by spirits. So Altiora know what they're up against. They'll have to fight through the top of Hookah if they want to, but very quickly, Altiora is just going to try to burn out and take charge in Sunrise and Blue Bar. This is really something.
Yeah, it's been very quick, as you said. Altiora are also looking to just execute straight into the site. Now, Skies has got a good angle there into A. And Buck actually is going to be making that much, much easier. So from that main lobby desk from reception, Skies will be able to hold the kitchen door. You got Bozak as the smoke in sight, so he can deny a plant by the kitchen window. So Altiora's got a good setup here, but Nordik should have power to counterpunch this.
Now, you might notice as well from the roster that's on your screen, Kira is going to be playing in place of Shima. Now, Shima is a standout performer on Altiora, and without having Shima available, this is going to be really rough for Altiora. That's one of your best players. You remember there were a number of rounds where unless Guns and Shima showed up, Altiora were in rough spot against Mirage. Well, now you're not going to have Shima showing up at all. So let's see what Kira is able to do. The answer is be the opening death. That's not the start that you want. Down Kira goes. Lackey gets that very first pick and is roaming over by the top of those white stairs, leading into luggage side by side with the Wamai.
Here comes an attempted execution. One gas canister baited out, but it cost Altiora as Dot attempted to push into kitchen. Now, Miso will take down S4, or Mizio, pardon me. Just had some miso soup and some sushi, so my mind is elsewhere. Altiora now on the back foot, and they're going to have to frag extra hard as they entry into the site. Now, Bozak still has his gas canister left, just the one, though, and 40 seconds to delay. That's not a good position to be in. He's got to be careful with that last gas canister.
I don't know what Guns is doing. He's 30 seconds away from this timer being 0, and he's hanging out on the Aqua Balk. He'll have to really hurry and try to get on in, and as you pointed out, they'll need to grab that diffuser. In goes the Yana decoy, so to speak. A third kill from Lackey. He's having a great round and a good start to this very first map. Mizio smoked out. You'd mentioned that toxic canister being the last one, and it's placed about as well as you could imagine. 10 seconds left. The clock will be, unfortunately, Altiora's undoing. Down goes Guns, a kill from Storms, and then in the middle of the bomb site, that's all she wrote for Mizio. Bozak cleans up, After a 3K from Lackey, the rest of the team gets involved, and Nordik take round number 1.
It was a really awkward round there, Parker, as we didn't see much change or adaptation from Altiora. Essentially what happened there is Altiora took control of Sunrise Bar and Blue Bar. They detected that there were roamers up top and in garden and over by main lobby / security. So Altiora found out what their opponents were doing. They found out what the opposition was up to. And then they all proceeded to one by one, run straight into the site. And then die one by one. And then we also had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 players on Altiora trying to clear out the roamers by security, get flanked by the roamers above. So I was talking about how Jackal might have been a good ban. He also would have been a good selection, given that he's not banned here in that last round, and would still be a good selection here in this round. I think over Yana, who in that round was not very useful. Not necessarily the fault of the operator that she wasn't useful. She just wasn't useful. Because the problem in that round was Nordik's roam upstairs and in the main lobby. It prevented any kind of aggression, and yet Altiora still tried to bring out that aggression, still tried to run into the site. And again, one after another, it cost them. A very puzzling round there for Altiora. A very, very standard roam and defensive setup from Nordik that ended up working really well for Nordik because Altiora never tried to counter it.
So I have an urgent message that I would like to relay, Michael.
Yep.
It is from @JessieJChick on Twitter, and it says, and I quote, "You killed the impression. I thought that was me on the cast." We did it!
We did it, chat.
We did it.
Everyone contributed. Gold stars all around. Congratulations.
If only I had a toonie for every good impression.
I genuinely can't make that voice, so it is kind of impressive.
I mean, if you're from like Wisconsin or Minnesota, I feel like you can do it as well, but maybe even Alaska.
Yeah.
But in this case, I was born in it, shaped by it, molded by it. So, anyway, it's now going to be a hookah defense, as was talked about. And the one thing that I really do want to keep an eye on for this match is just the fact that Shima isn't available. And I know that we talk about Shima an awful lot. He's a fairly large content creator, obviously now plays professionally, and is consistently one of Altiora's standout players. He's got good game sense. He's got good mechanical aim. He's able to entry successfully. He's good in the clutch. And without him, you're just, frankly, Altiora is not as good without Shima. And with what is already billed as being a very close match between these two teams, that could be a sizable difference that goes from being, maybe Altiora can quite handily win this, to this is all now in favor of none other than Nordik. But that's a missed opportunity from Storms onto the Capitao. Does about 65 to 70 bullet. It's worth of damage, as that first smoke will go off in the doorway of Hookah.
Unfortunate that those shots were missed. Seem to be hitting the door frame. Well, Zach will take down guns. So Nordik already starting the fragging, but the refrag from Storms as Spirits eliminate Skies on the blue staircase. Nordik is taking control of this round. Kira and Dot, the last two attackers now. The attack elsewhere really not working out. Dot has also incurred quite a lot of damage, not only from those shots earlier from Storms, but also whiffing in a little of that gas canister. Now he'll die to just about anything. The one advantage that Altiora has, or not really an advantage, but the one nice thing that Altiora has right now is all of those Capitao bolts. They've got 1 smoke and 2 fire bolts. Neither of the fire bolts used. C4 baited out there. Kira will make his way all the way into sight. Get 1 entry. That's big for Kira, but he's shut down. Bozak will be able to shut down Kira and hold on to the vase hallway. Dot now the last attacker, and he's got 20 seconds to twist in the wind and do essentially nothing. It's definitely possible with S4 on low HP, but it's not probable. Bozak locks that up. Nordik will take round number 2.
And Dot Dash was in such a precarious position there with how low his HP was. And there was, I think, still 1 gas canister from smoke, and that assuredly would have killed the Capitao. I mean, the strategy at this point was Kira goes into default spot, tries to get a plan off, kills the Pulse, because the Pulse had actually pushed up from Cool Vibe stairs. That's just poor timing on the defense. Allowing Kira to get that pick, I think, quite unexpected. And I mean, it's the UMP. That thing's really not going to outduel most people. Everybody's going to do the Geo, you're playing Twitch meme. That's fine. Get it out of your system. Anyway, as for the rest of that round, pretty standard stuff from the way that Nordik held inside of billiards. With the soft destruction, they could lob C4s and gas canisters towards the doorway. It didn't really seem like there was that much of a focus from Altiora to clear out from Aqua side. We saw that the offsite play largely fell into the hands of the Buck, who stormed up Cool Vibe stairs, killed the Maestro, but then got turned on by the Pulse, not expecting there to be a second so close by. Usually, most teams don't have 2 players stacked up on Cool Vibes that early into the round. It tends to happen a little bit later, especially if you have to juggle C4s towards the door or towards the back of Hookah. So it was just, it struck me as Altiora not having a full understanding of the setup on defense that Nordik had. And the one thing as well, not only are you losing the fragging power from not having Shima on your team, but depending on Kira's role on this team, how often Kira has played, you might even need to be teaching strats and how to work on certain things mid-round to somebody who's just not as familiarized. And that's really tough. I mean, it was something that was spoken about by FaZe at length when they brought 9XT back. 9XT is a tremendously capable player, and you know, when he played in Latin America Pro League, nobody doubted his ability. But when he's coming back for a single event to play with FaZe, he could be the best player in the world, and he's still not going to be able to get in sync and get in rhythm with all the strats that the team has, and that was ultimately a big part of why FaZe weren't able to perform the way they wanted to. So keep that in mind as well. Kira's performance will, I'm sure, be serviceable, but there's a time to rise to the occasion here for Altiora, and I don't know if Kira's going to be able to do it, but I mean, I hope so, in the interests of a fair match.
Thus far, it's been pretty much Nordik. Mostly that comes down to Altiora not doing very much to try and counter the way that Nordik sets up. Nordik will do a very basic defensive strategy with a very standard roam, and there's a kind of a toothless attempt to dislodge players. Like, there you go. Spirits will get Lackey. It took him a while, but he managed it in the end. That's all that matters. So there you go. Some bite. You love to see it. Bozak also takes some damage elsewhere. He's been a really important player on Nordik so far through this match. He'll get healed back up, though. Even probably going to get the double stim. There you go. He'll be able to still hold on to the blue staircase as a result. Perfect operator to hold this position. Altiora has also been incurring a lot of damage as they've been taking these fights. And they don't have Madoc.
Where did that air jab go?
Don't know.
It seemed like Bozak didn't really have to be too worried about it. Down goes Dot, so that's the very first kill for Nordik in this round. Followed up immediately on the guns. You were talking about that Doc. Well, Skies is an MP5, not just the stim pistols. He's more than just the ability to bring you back to life. He is a fragging powerhouse, and that's exactly what happens in that fight. And Skies actually doesn't seem to lose any HP as he'd stimmed himself earlier and then used 2 of those stims onto Bozak. It does, as you pointed out, allow S4 to be in a position where he's going to die very quickly, and there you go. From above, the upstairs control from Altiora proves to be too much for what little remained of the Wamai. And Nordik now seem to be retreating towards the lobby, as Altiora will try to storm through security before deciding otherwise. They've got an opening to go in and try to plant on that A-bomb site, and they are very wary of a C4. Kira manages to get in and will plant on the opening created. Bozak tossing out a perfect smoke, it seems. I can't tell if it's doing any damage to Kira. It certainly doesn't seem like it is. Playing away at the wall, unable to hit his shots is Bozak, so the diffuser goes down for Altiora. That's a good spot to be in. We've got Spirits on low HP. Mizio will huck in a frag grenade. Bozak forced to move out of his position. Sky's trying to double team. Can't quite see him behind the boxes playing outside. So you're going to have to land your shots onto the sledge. And there you go, but not enough from Skies. He tries his best. It's Bozak to take out Mizio. Coming back in, he gets gunned down by Kira. The 2 remaining members of Altiora stacked up inside of office. It's all business for them. A rotate coming in from Storms as he jumps in. He's only got 10 seconds left. No way he's going to be able to do this. The Doc will twist away and finished off by Spirits. A huge round from the Buck of Altiora, and they'll take their very first round in this series. They still trail Nordik, but they're closer than before.
If I'm not mistaken, a 4K there for Spirits. Either 4 or 3, either way, big round for him. Well done on that hold post-plant. Really, the mistake there lies on the shoulders of Bozak. His gas canister ended up missing, and thus there was no denial for the blue bar. One thing I'm surprised about is the lack of rotation there from the Ela to the main lobby. So one thing that happened in that round that I think is most important is Spirits killing the Jaeger by reception. The reason why that's super relevant is because not only is Jaeger going to be roaming to try and delay, Lackey didn't delay very much, but also he has an angle through the soft wall into the blue bar to deny a plant behind the blue bar. But because Lackey died in main lobby early, they were able to plant in that blue bar nice and safe and snug. Now, there was a player on Nordik who would have been able to deny the plant had they rotated from security to main lobby, but that was read very poorly by that player, the situation, and they ended up lingering in security, not being able to do anything because of the air jab. So Altiora took full advantage of that. Gas canister misses, your player doesn't rotate to deny, and diffuser goes down. In a post plant, it's all but unlosable, considering the man count is just about even. Or I think it was even. So, Altiora take their first round. Well done to them. Nordik need to be better on their objective denial play, I suppose.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
I will say this. I very much liked that the shot calling from Altiora was, hey, wait a minute. We've got a pretty good tally of where everybody is. There's not enough people on the bomb site. Let's just take this. Let's take the bomb site. We've got a soft wall open. Obviously, that was done deliberately by Nordik because you're not leaving one wall from the blue bar bomb site into office open by accident. I mean, I would hope you're not. Nordik should be a better team than to make such an easy mistake. I mean, Oxygen should have been a better team than to shoot out or leave out a default cam. So, I mean, mistakes happen. Just going back to our Wednesday match. But Altiora realized, hey, as long as we can fight off a possible retake, we can go for a plant here quite easily. Nobody's watching blue bar. There's no Mira. She's banned. Let's take this and then I'll hold down security. You go for the plant. Perfect. They had the sledge at the window to watch. The Buck was watching from security. You don't really have to fear all that much unless somebody's going to try to swing out from Sunrise. And the shot calling from Altiora after they had that information was really what allowed them to win that round. So they reacted beautifully upon what they saw. And even though they're not playing with their full 5 members, it doesn't matter.
Well, at least not in that round.
That's correct.
On this round, Spirits, the star of the last, will be felled by storms in the site. Long angle looks like towards, what was that, garden, blue bar, something along those lines. Well played to storms. Yep, all the way in blue bar, through the wall. In a pre-opened angle. Gas canister will be denying the push in through the kitchen door. Bozak, very tricky happy with his utility. Mizio, you can see set up on that kitchen window. He's looking to vault in and try and disrupt the hold. Kira does get S4. That was one of the players possibly above, but not entirely sure. The castle gone, though. Not a huge loss there in terms of weapons, but a loss nonetheless. Lackey hits an air jab, but it doesn't matter. He's able to get back up on his feet and still continue to influence the round. The reception hold here is going to be big for Nordik when the push comes from Altiora.
30 seconds left, and you've still got this Capitao trying to quarterback a push from Sunrise Bar, not too far off of the doorway into the kitchen. The one who's in the bomb site, though, happens to be Mizio, so you'll have to get a little bit closer if you're Nordik. You are losing your clutches on this round. The Maestro still positioned inside of the main lobby, losing a lot of bullets to Kira. That is unfortunate. Gets smoked! What a statement kill from the Nomad. Altiora, 2 rounds in a row now, and Kira's been quite good through both of those. Absolutely critical for the success of their team. It's 2-2 heading into round 5.
Man, I don't really know what to say about that spray there from Skies. Pretty much most of the rest of the round was just a series of the same. A lot of just lost fights there. I mean, the setup. Here's the thing, right? If you as a defensive team set up and you have your everything going the way that you want, and you've got all the angles that you want, and everything looks great, and all you need to do is just win your fight, and you're losing them, and that's on you, the defenders, because the attack there didn't seem to bring out many counterpunches to the way that the attack was, the defense was set up, right? And again, that's a repeat that keeps happening. Altiora aren't doing anything special. They're just walking into those lines that the defenses are trying to hold and just winning the fights on those lines. And that's, again, I always feel like I'm copping out on the analysis for saying that, because it always seems so simple, right? Oh, just win your gunfights. But there's usually a little bit of a depth to the strategy. And in this case, on the attacking side, on Altiora's side, we're not really seeing much of that. Don't get me wrong, Nordic's defensive setups are very basic and not that deep, not that complicated. But it's a bit of both from both sides. Now, the one thing I will say is that I like the Capitao use from Altiora. They're doing good work with that Capitao. He's been able to place some bolts that I think have greatly influenced the round. And while it's not necessarily a strategy, it is a depth to your team. It's a layer. It's a plan of sorts. It's a thought, right? You know that you're going to have a problem. The Firebolt can solve that problem. Use it well. And in that last round, Skies was disabled on the garden door because of a well-placed Firebolt. That allows for a more, I guess, smooth take into the site through the kitchen door, and it allows for those 1v1 fights that Altiora needs in order to win. And yeah, well played to Altiora at the very least.
So, not wanting to go back to that kitchen bomb site after being pretty good on it the first time, not so great on it the second, it's going to be a hookah defense upstairs. This is the only other bomb site that Nordik has won on. A lot of it came down to that fight on the hookah balcony, as we saw in the dying moments of the round, where Dot and Kira desperately tried to go up against the 3 members of Nordik who were playing somewhat protected over by Cool Vibe stairs and inside of billiards. The big critique that I had from that round was that they didn't seem to take luggage. They didn't really do much on Aqua. It got rebuffed, or they didn't want to invest too much time in it. And unfortunately, it was way too much of a single focused push that got gunned down quite easily, especially when there's going to be nitro cells on the board, especially when there's going to be smoke canisters on the board, and there's there's the evil eye cameras as well. So these are all things to keep in mind. There's only one C4 for you have to fear, and that's Storms. It's going to be holding on to it, and the Pulse will presumably be playing in that same spot over by Cool Vibes. That was actually a missed opportunity. The Zofia could have very easily gotten a pick on Cool Vibes if my eyes don't deceive me.
They do not.
But unfortunately, Altiora are getting nowhere in a hurry. 2 losses. Only Dot so far has been able to find the board for his team, but Altiora will trail with a minute left.
Still bounce back potential here from Nordik. Dot's going to die, though, to Lackey at the top of main. And wow, that's a big fight won there for Storms. That really should have gone the way of guns. Well-placed headshot for Storms. Worst gun of the game, as they say. Kira now, the newest member and the last one in this round. Storms will go down, trying to ascend the blue staircase. This is certainly winnable. Kira does have a lot of time to work with, and there's nobody by Vase, nor in Hookah. Wait, no, there's one in Hookah by the couch, and he doesn't check for it. Unfortunate there for Kira. Bozak will put a bow on it.
Hard to really tell exactly what went wrong for Altiora there, outside of them pushing in on their own without much support. I mean, the fact that there were 2 separate members of Nordik who were able to get kills without anybody refragging and possibly on other sides of the map, that's obviously a troubling spot to find yourself in. My guess would be that there was an idea of how to try to take that map control from Altiora, but they were either one step too far ahead, or maybe one step behind each other, and things need to be in proper sync. Once again, tough to accomplish that if you're playing with a sub who doesn't know the depths of all your strategies. So that is something to maybe excuse the entry from Altiora. For Nordik, they were fine. They've been winning their gunfights quite reliably. In the preamble, before we actually got into this matchup, I noted that one thing that I gave Altiora over Nordik was that Alt seemed to have more gun skill individually, whereas Nordik could work as a cohesive unit. So far, the gun skill's actually been quite even, if not in favor of the defenders in Nordik. Now, like I said, a lot of that is because Shima's not playing on this team, and he was probably the best gunner on Altiora's side. But it's still, that's troubling. That's troubling to see that your opponent, who will likely be more coordinated, is also now winning their engagements and their gunfights more than usual. And on a map like Coastline, that can be a problem, especially when Coastline does tend to be a bit more attacker favored. Altiora needs to win this round in order to stay in contention based on the history of Coastline matches.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Overall, setup mostly kitchen hold. Oh gosh, Lackey goes for the run out on Aqua Balcony. Almost dies on it actually. He hit the wall with this first punch. He does a little bit of damage to guns though. Well done, I guess, for that. He'll slow down the take two just ever so slightly. So yeah, the top floor roam for Nordik is going to be relevant. You can see how much effort they're putting into their 90 hold. Lackey's going to be supporting. It's important that he didn't die on that Aqua run out because now he can hold Storms' flank above. And together they can delay for a solid amount of time. I'm not really sure what Storms is doing, actually. He just abandoned his predetermined position, assuming that, I guess, he thinks there's a play to be made here. I mean, maybe he's right. He's going to flank Spirits right now. He'll do some damage and miss out on the kill. But, you know, damage done is better than nothing. And we'll run back to VIP to try and continue to hold from above.
Gambles now being taken from Nordik could very easily swing this round and possibly even this matchup in favor of their opponents. And we have seen that when a team does not respect their adversaries all that much, they can lose out on momentum, get a little too cocky, and end up losing the whole damn match. So you need to absolutely ensure that you're not taking any unnecessary risks. And I think that if you can assess those risks on Nordic's side, that you'll be pretty okay. Anyway, with that said, it's back down to Kitchen to see if they can win it yet again. So far, they are a perfect even. They lost it once, they won it once. Altiora is actually pretty close to being able to pull something off here. They really like this blue bar hold. Spirits is able to just stand Sentinel and watch a very long angle towards the B-bomb site as he can hold that rotate from Pantry over to where Bozak is playing. A cutoff from main lobby is going to confuse Nordics and force them to have to take up some ground if they want to engage on what appears to be a push through the main doorway into Kitchen. Still focusing on that Buck who's holding that long angle, and he might be able to catch the smoke if Bozak isn't watching. But instead, it's on the flank of both Storms and Lackey to get in on some fun, taking down Mizio and Guns, two of the entry fraggers for Altiora that have struggled so far through this map. They have not been able to get their footing at all.
Is he about to... I was going to firebolt his entryway, but he'll die to Bozak as he just haphazardly puts himself in the line of fire. Nordik, really happy for that, I'm assuming. Spirits and Kira now, the last two attackers. They're just chilling. Spirits will get Lackey. Good pick there. That's by security. Now more pressure on Skies. We'll see if he hits his shots this time. Got a lot of bullets in the attempt to hit the shots. And he will. Third time's the charm. Nordik will take the round. And that's a 4-2 for the first half.
So here's what we're looking at for that very first half, as you noted. Number one, this is Altiora's map. Coastline does tend to skew more towards the attackers because you don't have to rely so much on a hard breacher. Utility is critical on every single map, but there's lots of chances for soft destruction. If the bomb sites are down below, a Buck or a Sledge are quite happy to just exist above you. But let's dive into exactly what happened. Altiora took 2 of those 6 rounds. So that means 4 rounds for Nordik. Of those 6 rounds, 5 opening duels went in favor of Nordik. 2 plants went down for Altiora. They won both of the rounds that they were able to get the diffuser down. And with one of them, that was on the double bars, the only time we saw that bomb site get defended by Nordik, that was the time that Altiora won. And that was quite a decisive round. And like I said, I think the big compliment that needs to go towards Altiora on that one was that they were great in the mid-round and they were able to adapt based upon the information they had, and they called very correctly. Other than that, I mean, you look at the stats on either side of the screen, and it's very clear that in terms of kills, Nordik are very comfortable. It's pretty close, given that it's 6 rounds in. Both these teams have obviously been hitting their shots, but as the scoreline would suggest, it is a 4-2. It has not been a close 4-2. Nordik so far have looked like the better team, but with a side swap, you now have to hit the reset button and see how is that going to hold on different sides.
5 seconds left.
Definitely something to be concerned about moving forward. I mean, as always with these kinds of matches, I expect things to just keep changing all the time. And I'm sure they will. Nordik, at the very least, looked more solid on defense. They had more strategy, more awareness of their situation. Altiora seemed like they were guessing a lot of the time. Some very basic, like, oh, we're going to move here, we're going to go there sort of calls, and then just hope that they, in the fights, again, no using strategy or utility really to gain an edge other than that Capital that I could see. I like the use of the Jackal here from Skies when available on Coastline. You really should. That does mean that you're not going to have the Capitao available. So it's an exchange. It's really up to you as a team which is more useful. I'd say based on the way both these teams have been playing, I'd definitely Jackal. Down goes your Buck, and he'll actually go over Mizio's line of sight. And eventually he does get finished off. Kira will also... Well, actually, no, it's Kira to finish off, and then Skies is the one who dies inside of Office. So your Buck and your Jackal taken down. Now, that means that you're not going to be able to open up on the anchors from below, as this is a hookah defense. And it also means clearing out the roamers also below will be very difficult.
I really like that the defense are playing as aggressively as they are on both sides. We're only one round in, and already Altiora is showing that the best defense or the best offense is just a good defense. And if you roam aggressively and pick them off, both of these teams have seen some struggles with being able to enter the building adequately. Now it's Nordik's time to prove that, well, maybe attacking on Coastline isn't all it's cracked up to be. They're about halfway through the round right now, and you can hear some gunshots going off. That'll be Lackey, possibly trying to take an engagement, but not finding anything just yet. Both he and Bozak are inside of Aqua. They are prepped and ready to maybe try to pull off a default plant. There's 2 C4s on the board, one in the hands of the Mute of Kira, and one in the hands of the Mozzie of Guns. So that's plant denial if you need it. Additionally, an Evil Eye cam spotted on the bar inside of Hookah will have a perfect and crystal clear line of sight onto that diffuser. They have to make sure they clear everything out as Zofia looks to possibly dump some utility in and take out that Evil Eye. Playing inside of that pink bar upstairs is Kira, once again with that C4 in hand. No smoke on the board, so you're going to need an awful lot of work to be done by the C4s and the Maestro cams.
Bozak goes down. He can't pick himself up, so that means Lackey can hold while Bozak picks himself up, assuming he'll do that. Looks like he is doing that. Lackey uses a nade to try and delay Spirits. That means that Lackey gets off the angle. He'll get downed as a result. That was a mistake from Lackey. Bozak is back in play. And yeah, he's got 15 more HP, but it really doesn't matter. Easy spray there for Spirits to take down S4. Mizio will get Bozak on the entry, and Guns gets the last one as the rush comes into Billiards. Altiora just cleaning up there, really. There was nothing more to say.
You think this is just a byproduct of a tough attacking map? You think these are newer teams trying to find their footing and struggling with attack? What do you think the culprit is here, Michael?
So I mostly think it's the latter there, Parker. And the majority of that comes down to, it almost seems like a lot of the things that are trying to be executed here by the attacking teams, at least so far, are just like ideas that they've seen used before, and they're like, okay, here we go, this is our way, we're gonna try and do this. I liked what I saw there from Nordik in the idea phase, right? Like, if we're talking about the plan is for Nordik, clear out underneath, open up from below, execute through Aqua. They can't see us from us from underneath, bait out the smokes and plant the diffuser. That's what Nordik was trying to do, right? Now, that all fell flat on its face as soon as Nordik lost their Buck downstairs. They also lost their Jackal, but it was the Buck that really did it. Because then you lose your skeleton key and you can't open up underneath the pink bar. Because you can't open up underneath the pink bar, you can't push the anchor off, and so the plant is less tenable. So, I'd say that... you know, they need to adapt to these things more actively, and they need to be less aggressive with their positioning. So, like, let's say that I'm the attacking team, and I want to do that strat, right? I detect that, okay, there's roamers by Sunrise Bar and Blue Bar. That means we need to put more force into trying to clear that out. Rotate over an attacker from the Aqua take to the Sunrise Bar. Yeah, it's going to shave off 20 seconds. But you're going to give yourself a cross. You're going to lock down the defenders who are roaming, because right now they're roaming freely. Altiora feels just as free and safe on their roam as Nordik did on theirs when we were in the first half. So there needs to be more effort done by the attacking team to really clamp down on the opposition and to strategically maneuver according to what their opponent does. Instead of just, this is our idea, let's just go for it.
Well put. Yeah, the pressure down below is crucial for trying to take that bomb site, especially flushing people out of Hookah, doing the same thing inside of Pink, and it just was, you know, strikingly absent from Nordik. Now, with it being a kitchen defense for Altiora, your buck is not necessarily going to be the most important on the bottom floor. You could possibly put him up top, put a sledge up there as well. Good news for Nordik because they have both of those. They have a Zelfia too, but her utility is likely going to be used on the bomb site rather than used for the destruction above. But right now, it doesn't seem like Nordik are too focused on taking that top floor control. They've still got time. I mean, there's 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Not the worst, but you can see the silhouettes on your screen. There's 2 players from Altiora that are currently up top. Mizio makes an awful lot of noise. Could have been spotted out by Storms, and I think he's trying to bait out a buck. He's wary of somebody being on hookah, and he'll actually walk right into Storms, opening pick for the buck. Guns answers back, though, onto Bozak. Inside of the main lobby, playing with an evil eye cam. That's going to be good intel. And now Mizio will be doing the calling for none other than Guns, as he's got that intel for him and a dead teammate to watch the cams.
Storms will get spirits. Looks like on a angle into the main lobby. Oh, no. Flank from the blue stairs. Now, Nordik are looking solid here. They've denied the flanks. They've gotten rid of many of the roamers. Guns is still in the main lobby, though. Dot can still peek it. The nade will go into the main lobby and get the shield. Actually, it's a smoke. Correction. S4 does get Guns before the smoke plumes. Kira in sight, unable to do any kind of work. And now it's all on Dot Dash. Now, he's not going to get anywhere. Nordik will lock that up. The same attack strategy, same defensive strategy, different teams, different results.
Honestly, the last 3 kills from Nordik just simply looked like lost gunfights.
Yep.
It didn't even look like there was much strategy to it. Wamai tries to swing and pre-fire into the hallway, playing inside a lobby. He gets absolutely punished for it. Smoke, or the SAS operator playing inside of the bomb site, also smoked. And then Maestro, same thing. Tries to swing. It's a 1v4. You got to swing. You got to take those engagements. You've got Nalda. It's very likely that the attackers will be stacked up, given the fact that they're going to be playing off of kitchen and off of the bomb site. If you figure that somebody is getting that bomb down, or is the diffuser down by the bomb, then it's very easy for the Maestro to get a pick or two. Now it's a 2v1, and you're essentially in a 1v1 until the planter is off. That's a good spot to be in. You can't play it any better than that. If you're the Maestro, it's just you lost a lot of your duels. And when you lose and you just simply botch those many shots, you're not going anywhere, especially in a 1v4, and everybody from Nordik is trying to chase you down. So they'll give it another whirl. Back downstairs to kitchen, Altiora will go. And they have to be very wary of a couple things. Number 1, the Jaeger at the top of Cool Vibe stairs, very confidently heading down to the bottom of Cool Vibes after the cam has been shot and there's a buck there. You have to at least sort of expect that. And it looked like maybe Mizio did. I think he was ADS leaning around the top of the banister on the stairs. But I mean, you have to just be a bit more cautious, especially after Mizio had made as much noise as he had that time. And the Buck of Storms knew that. And that was the opening pick. And then from there, the Buck can immediately pivot and try to aggress onto the bomb site. So there's a lot of work that both these teams have to do, I think. I do like that it appears Altiora's main defense is going to be played up top, predominantly over by Penthouse.
Parker, I just came up with a great analogy for what this gameplay is.
Do it.
So these teams are playing like ancient times when we were using muskets, and you would like line up in these giant lines, and one row would kneel fire, the other one would fire over their shoulders, or you would do the rotating fire, and they would line up across the field from each other, and they just volley fire across that field. And what we're used to seeing, what you and I are used to casting, is usually more like, like the Spec Ops sort of thing, like modern kind of, attacking gameplay. The reason I say that is because, once again, they're using strategies, or like they're setting up in ways like that we're used to seeing. But then when the the counterplay comes in from the opponent, it's like there's no adjustment. It's so rigid. It's just take the fight, take the fight, take the fight. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it just speaks to inexperience, and it's going to take time for that strat book to kind of evolve. Spirits, speaking of taking the fight, will do so above. A couple kills going back and forth here. Most of them all on the top floor. Now, Altiora, I think, is still in the lead because they've got Mizio by the hallway. He can inflict a lot of damage still. A lot of pressure on Lackey. He needs to get this kill, but he's being so scared with it. And he'll let Mizio slip away. Unfortunate. Now, there's a chance here for Mizio to fall back, but he'll get 2 kills. His fourth beautiful spray from Mizio, and Altiora will take the round.
3 for the price of 1. Michael, the Jaeger just absolutely unloads and gives Altiora the round in an incredible heroic single player effort. Ain't much to break down there. Mizio wins the round. A 4K is what he ends up getting, and well, he played out of the spot that a lot of casual and ranked players refer to as Jaeger spot for that specific reason. And Mizio shows exactly why it's a good spot to play in as a Jaeger.
Parker, remember when I talked about the line battles? You know, everybody lining up and just firing to each other in volley. It's a great example. See, when you throw fully automatic weapons into those kinds of lines, you get easy 3Ks like that, which are 4K for the round technically, but
Defenders, protect your
so you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, anyway, and it just feels like again, it feels like the ideas are there, like the concept, the understanding of how the attack is supposed to be executed. Then the layers to them, it's almost like shallow. Like there's not a lot of counterplay for the things that are being thrown at the enemy. So if I'm an attacker and I want to clear the top floor, for example, and there are roamers on the top floor, then instead of, okay, we're going to drone him or jackal him, and someone's going to follow that drone up, follow that jackal up, or we're going to stun him and then push them together from 2 different angles, or we're going to move one of our, site attackers back up to the roam clear because we need the extra gun so we can flank him from here, or such and such and such. The layers to the communication and the understanding of what you're confronting and how to solve that problem. Instead of all that, it's just kind of like, it's usually just, oh, there's one there? I'm going to go fight him.
Yeah.
And we saw how that worked out for Nordik in the last round. No, actually, you know what the funny thing is? None of them tried to fight him.
Nobody.
They just kind of chilled.
All right. Well, we see something interesting unfolding here, Michael. Do you know where the bomb site is?
I'm guessing penthouse based on your tone of voice.
No, it's upstairs in Hookah.
Oh, darn.
But Altiora are mostly all off-site. So we had talked, and I had talked specifically about how aggressive Altiora had been on that very first Hookah defense, and it looks like they're lined up to do that yet again, given the fact that they're going to rely solely on Kira and Dot to hold down the fort. That's it. Guns is going to be playing the swing man right now on Cool Vibe Stairs, but as for the alibi and the vigil, they're down below. Mizio losing a bunch of HP. He's in a duel right now with Storms, but Spirits is there to back him up. The Jaeger down at the bottom by main lobby is able to punish the Buck. Another opening pick, and right now the defense have been excellent at winning their duels. So clearly something is going a little wrong with the coordination on the attacker's side.
Well, that Buck went in essentially naked. No drones to assist him. I think he droned himself in. No players to hold for him. And he got sprayed down from the main lobby through the wall by Spirits, who will get taken out in turn by Skies. Much later in the round, mind you, but a kill's a kill. Now, the big thing here is that the Buck's not able to open up underneath Dot, so Dot's going to be able to deny, assuming he stays alive. He's taking risks, but he will still persist. 50 seconds left, and it looks like 2 gas canisters. No, 1 actually, just for Dot. That's not enough to delay for the entirety of the round, so a lot will hinge on those gunfights, as we've been talking about. There's plenty of impacts on Altiora as well. Nordik going for the rush in. S4 gets Mizio. Bozak up close and personal with Dot. He'll win that fight. SMG-11's just better, and Kira goes down as his side is turned. Gun's still alive. No C4. He'll have to work off of the marks. Obviously, an Evil Eye in the sight, and he will push the first plant attempt off. Not going to go for the second one, though. He knows he needs to retake. Attempting by Blue Stairs. Good read there on S4. Sees the Jackal. There's 2 inside of B. Not going to be an easy fight, and he'll lose it. Bozak, Nordik will take that round and put us on to match point.
When teams try to attack onto Hookah and they go for the default plant spot, which happens to be near the double doors that lead from Hookah into Aqua behind the bomb chassis, you find a couple things can go wrong really quickly. Number 1, some attacking teams, most attacking teams, don't try to challenge anybody that are playing inside of hookah. They don't really look at who's playing inside of pink. That's usually where a smoke is going to sit. Sometimes they can also have a mute playing there, somebody with a C4. If you don't have anybody on rappel on those double windows, as we've been seeing a fair bit recently, upside down rappel looking in towards pink, that's a very strong spot for the defenders to play. And you find like this rhythmic juggling that we've used to describe the plant that goes on in servers on bank, wherein you go in, you try to bait out utility. You walk in, you try to attempt to plant, toxic canister comes in, look at the clock, back off a bit. Let a nitro cell go out, hopefully it doesn't kill you. If it does, tag somebody else in and then try to plant again. Nordik didn't do any of that. What Nordik did was they decided that when the defuse is going down, we're just going to push in. And in fact, they didn't even try to attempt to get the diffuser down at the start because they pushed into the bomb site. They took control of Cool Vibe stairs at the top. They took control of pink. They held angles into VIP. They ended up getting the Maestro that was playing inside of hookah. Since in the A bomb site in the back of the billiards, that's where the plant would usually go down, near where Kira is right now. They didn't even try to get the objective down. They knew instinctively where the setup would be from the defenders, and I had noted, we had talked about it a little bit, how Altiora had 3 different players off the bomb site. Not only do you have control of the site to begin to attempt the defuse, which went down when it was a 1v4, with only, was it guns left alive, but Nordik had all of the angles back to the bomb site locked out. And with the exception of losing the Nomad who was lying prone on the Cool Vibe stairs, you didn't have anything to worry about if you were Nordik. Well played, a good rush. It ends up obviously paying off. It was the right call. Whoever came up with that, whether it be on the fly or calculated, excellent job to them. And now it's match point for Nordik.
Yeah, I'd say that that's actually what we were talking about earlier. That right there, that's a counter punch. That's what has been lacking on the attack for this entire map. It was a decisive push in through billiards based on an understanding of how the defense is setting up and how if they waited, if they lingered, if they just took those 1v1s, it was definitely going to favor the defensive team, especially considering they lost their buck downstairs. That's adaptation. That's talent. That's depth of the strat book there, and that's a good IGL, as you said, Parker. Whoever made that call, right call. So well done to Nordik. Props. Now, in this next round, it's the same bomb site. Whole round, we've seen nothing happen thus far. Almost half of the time expired already. Now, there's more C4 below. You can see Guns has got it. He knows he's going to need to use it if the same attack strategy is utilized by Nordik. Now, that is doubtful. Nordik have been showing themselves to be very good at maneuvering their strategy somewhat. They are going for an Aqua take again, but you can see clearly it's not the same kind of Aqua strategy. There's a little bit of difference here. It's not like a bull rush in through billiards. So that should favor Nordik, assuming they can get a pick or two. They're also going to need to deal with the utility that is abundant in denying that plant on default spot.
So you can see that it's virtually the same lineup from Altiora, but they're going to need to be better with their Nitro Cell. There's only one for them. It's not peculiar to see so few Nitro Cells on the board here, but Nordik will need to ensure that they bait it out earlier on. Dot gets a ton of damage dealt to him as he throws out a toxic canister. There goes Guns. I don't know if he tried to peek the buck. I'm not sure, but the Mozzie goes for broken side of blue bar, and he'll end up paying for it. That's but one of 5 kills that Nordik will need in order to take this map. Of course, it's Altiora's map. Dot had been softened up by the first frag grenade, and the second one will be more than good enough. An unfortunate team kill from Lackey as now S4 falls too. Bozak going for the plant. You're going to need to get proper coverage down. A spray in from Kira as he'll push up. Bozak off of the defuse, but he's punished. It's Storms now in a 1v3. They're going to start to try to counter disable, and Mizio's on that spot. There's no way Storms is going to be able to get here. He gets gunned down. A calamity of errors, and Nordik totally screws the pooch on that one. They had everything going for them, and they just blow it in the post plant. What a rough spot to find yourselves in. Altiora plays it to a T, and we need all 12 rounds.
You know, it's crazy. If there were one more person in Aqua there for the attack to cover Bozak after he got the diffuser down, I think that Nordik could have taken that. It's unfortunate that that fictional scenario did not play out for them. So we'll go one round away from overtime for Altiora. They just need to take this next defense of the double bar. Okay, so once again, the downstairs roam is not cleared out. the attack struggles with that. They're not able to open up underneath as they would like to. They're not able to do as much work downstairs as they would like to. Now, I propose that it's not as complicated to clear out the bottom floor as both of these attacking teams seem to think it is, and that if they put concerted effort into it, they might have a better go at it. But they're just not doing that. That said, moving on from that specific thing, it looked almost as if Nordik was still going to be able to win that round. They had the plant going down, they had the smoke to cover, there was no utility to deny. The guns were working for Nordik. They even got that nade kill on, I want to say, the smoke by Pink Bar. And everything's looking peachy keen. But it all went awry when Lackey killed his teammate, then continued to play exposed in the middle of the smoke, got picked off himself. Bozak now doesn't have anyone to cover him. He'll die as soon as he's done planting. He gets the plant down, bless his soul. And then there's no one to cover because the Buck is for some reason outside Sunrise Bar. That's it. The Buck didn't manage to get underneath, and then he stayed around that area. I assume trying to get a pick on a rotation out or something. But I don't know. If you're not able to do your job, then maybe try and help others do their job. Maybe I'm not sure. What I do know is that team kill could have changed everything had it not happened.
Well, it wasn't even the team kill. It's that the sledge stood in the middle of the doorway holding an angle, expecting somebody to go through the rotate, and the Maestro just pre-fired off of it, probably because the Evil Eye cam could see through that smoke that had been thrown out by Nordik. There were so many mistakes there, and honestly, an incredibly sloppy end of that round from Nordik. They should have won that round, frankly. And now it looks like overtime is more than likely. Down goes Skies. I'd imagine Nordik will be quite tilted after losing round number 11. We should be just, dissecting what we just witnessed and looking towards map 2, which is Villa, to settle this one, but it's not. And Nordik are going to be kicking themselves because they had a perfect opportunity and they blew it. Frankly, they blew it. And I hope that they learn from it and are able to correct those mistakes in the future. With that said, opening pick for round number 12 is going to go to Altiora. We are about halfway through this round, give or take. And Nordik have lost their only set of smokes and their Jackal, a very annoying operator. And with it, they'll find themselves battling from behind.
Jackal would sure be useful with dealing with those roamers. Got one in storage. S4 is creeping up. Pulse has to hear this, but the information's on S4's side as he's got someone droning for him. And the mark in. Lackey will get Mizio as well by the main lobby. And now Nordik, having successfully cleared the roamers for what feels like the first time in this map for both teams, they will be able to launch an attack onto the site. I know it's not the first time. I'm just being facetious. Now, Altiora are in a decent spot, despite those 2 kills, to repel this attack. They've got the tools, they've got the ops, they've got a lot of HP, and they can even heal. Still 3 stims in the tank here for guns. He's going to reposition, though, to blue stairs. That's very dangerous. If he gets pinched, he won't be able to assist his teammates as well as he'd like to.
Nothing is really thwarting these drones right now as we see Storms off of that usual Buck, playing on the IQ this time. Jade in hand can deal some significant damage. There's guns dropped. Spirits with one of his own. Dot goes down and Spirits will need to do more work. 2 kills for him, but no, it's a collapse from Altiora and no mistakes from Nordik this time, not like the previous round. So we had speculated that maybe they would be tilted, not necessarily the case, and if they were, they recover well enough. They take map number 1, Altiora's map, 7-5.
Yeah, no mistakes, apart from those 2 early picks. But then, that means you have to play at an even higher level of a higher standard after you lose 2 players early on. Or, not 2, sorry, 1. But the recovery was beautiful there from Nordik. I love the way they pinched on the roamers. Let's bring Jackie into the conversation, talk about that a little bit before we move on.
Hi, gentlemen. How you feeling? Obviously want to check in with you all about that first map. And, I think that throughout us covering the Canadian division, we've talked about how these new regions need time to progress. And I just want to pick your brains about what you want to see from the Canada division following stage 1, because you guys have been vocal with some constructive criticism. So, Antero, why don't I start with you?
Well, I think you just need time. The way that these teams have progressed over, the last what is it, 5 play days that we're on now, has been remarkable. You know, Mirage looks like a better team. Altiora looks like a better team. Nordik looks totally different. And I would say that they're probably the most improved team. We saw it in their matchup against Livid, and now they certainly look quite strong against Altiora. Obviously, the asterisk that's going to be on this matchup is that there is no Shima playing for Altiora. Who knows what would have happened, and given how close that match is, maybe things could have changed. But these teams need time to develop a stronger map pool. They need time to be able to gel, get their comms down, because all of the players might be used to calling a different way. Maybe there's too many voices and you need to settle that down. Who knows? But the more that these teams get to play up against US Division teams, the more that these teams get experience under their belt, the more that they can learn, they're going to continue to improve. And honestly, I've been impressed with what we've seen from our very first play day all the way through to play day number 5, which is what we're on now.
Kix, what do you want to see from the Canadian division following stage 1?
Well, Parker said it best just now. They just need time. So, I mean, I'll talk a little bit about, like, I guess the thought behind that. When you're playing in Siege and you're trying to develop your strat book, you're trying to develop your understanding of how to play strategically, really you go into scrims and you confront a problem you've never confronted before. You go into a dry run after that, you figure out how to counter that problem. Everyone there absorbs that information, and now you've added something to your personal strat book. The team as a whole can use that together because they've got synergy based on them understanding it together and coming up with a counter together. That's just one thing that happens, but it happens on repeat, pretty much for a whole team's career. They're always going to be scrimming, confronting a new thing, coming up with a solution in a dry run, repeat. And it takes years and years to build that strat book up. And the reason why you see both of these teams sometimes just standing there, twisting in the wind, hoping for change that's not going to come, hoping for their opponents to make a mistake that they won't make. And the reason why it's so defender-sided is because the attack hasn't had enough time to really develop that strat book, to enough years to, build that up to the point where they're always gonna have a thought in their head of how they can counter the way the enemy's playing. So there's ideas there. We're seeing, I think, the basic structure already established for both squads. In this case, Altiora and Nordik. For the Canadian division as a whole, just keep working at it. Just keep up on the time. It's all it's gonna take is time. I think it should take less than most other regions because the examples are already there.
Well, some great advice from our casters, Kix and Intero. Thank you so much, gentlemen. But let's get ready for map 2, Altiora versus Nordik. Still a lot of action ahead. And who's going to take second place in the Canadian division? We are here for it. So we'll be right back. See you in a little bit.
Here we go now.
Hello, everybody. We are maybe halfway through Playday number 5 of the Canada Division. Maybe we are 1/3 of the way through. We have to see what happens on Villa. Nordik taking map number 1 on Coastline by a score of 7-5. And this is a battle to see which team is going to emerge as second place in the Canada Division and which team's going to finish third. I'm Intero. I'm joined by Kickstar. He got the memo. I got the memo. Our glasses are off now. My glasses are off now. More uniformity. Same red shirt. We're ready to rock and roll. Canada pride. You know all that stuff.
Maple syrup. So we're just waiting for everybody to be ready. If you don't remember what happened in the last map, there you go. That's what happened in the last map. It went 7-5 to Nordik. It looked like it could have gone all the way to OT. I was expecting it actually at the end there because Altiora managed to get a pick early on in that final round. But no, Nordik locked it out. They had probably the best attacking round of either team to bring it all the way to that 7-round count to take the map. So well done there. That was Altiora's map pick. So we're moving to Villa for map number 2. And this will be an advantage for Nordik as it is their map pick. And given that, you might see this one just be that 2-0, but you can never really count these things out. I think based on the way both these teams are playing, this could easily go to the third map.
We have seen both of these teams play here before. Altiora did not exactly have the greatest run against Mirage last week. If you recall, Mirage started their impressive comeback en road to a victory over Altiora on Villa. So does the road to victory pave its way through the rural countrysides of Italy? We'll find out. We're in the operator ban phase and things will already be very different from Coastline. We didn't need to say that out loud. If you know how Villa plays, you know that it's very different from Coastline. Coastline is more of a free-flowing map, lots of fights, lots of engagements, not as much that you need to do utility-wise in comparison to a map like Villa. So expect to see a Thermite, maybe Hibana, maybe Maverick ban here to go along with the Thatcher. And there you go. It's a Hibana. Nordik banned Hibana out on Coastline. They don't like having her in play, which means that Maverick will likely be the operator of choice for Hard Breach, and then you're going to have to double up on Soft Destruction, a buck, a sledge, a Zofia, in order to blow out the wall after it's been Mavericked and blowtorched away.
Oh boy, this is going to be a fun Villa. The problem with Maverick on this map is that every place that he's going to try and open is usually destructible from below or counterable from a C4 above or something like that. And you can very rarely make a Maverick work on this map just because there's almost always something the defensive team is trying to bring to counter a Maverick specifically. And there's so many options. Clash will be the final ban there. Mirror and Clash, the two defensive bans. Nothing to really talk about there. We could say, I guess, that we got Valkyrie, Echo, and Maestro all available, so information is abundant for the defense. Looks like they're going to be bringing the Valkyrie specifically. Double Denial on the Jaeger Wamai. Yeah, this is a neat kit there for the attack. I think that's for the defense. It's a well-rounded setup there. On the attacking side, you've got another well-rounded setup. They should be able to open up all the walls with the Thermite if they can just get the things off. Okay, they're bringing the Nomad, not the Thermite. So, more pressure on Maverick's shoulders. Again, I would say that it's hard to make the Maverick actually work on this map, but it's not impossible. So, we'll see what Skies can do. If he's able to throw himself into the job with reckless abandon and his teammates are able to cover, then I'm sure that Nordik will have a good time of it.
Round number 1 is going to begin on the Aviator Games bomb site. And as we see from a lot of teams, pretty standard in regards to the operators they bring. Valkyrie is going to be very crucial. She is oftentimes banned, but in this case, no, it's the Clash. As we know, Clash can be quite powerful here, especially if you keep the Clash somewhere over by Classical Hall, falling back towards Vault. The presence of possibly 5 magnets, 3 ADSs means that it can be awfully challenging to get the Clash off of her spot, and you just simply don't have the tools to do it in the later part of a round. So the defense that we see right now is actually very similar to what we saw just a couple nights ago on this Villa, and that's Altiora is going to play very heavily inside of Study. They're going to have a nice line of sight so that somebody playing inside a Vault can engage if Study ends up getting lost, but the idea is that Guns is going to play there a ton. He's going to be hard to move out of that position, as there will likely be magnets and ADS is in position. Bad start though for Nordik as they try to break in through the doorway, and Spirits is prone at the bottom of main stairs, and he punishes the Ash. Now we are in a current meta where Ash is, believe it or not just a fragger. She is also a utility operator. 3 flashbangs and 2 breaching rounds. Well, those can go an awful long way. So that's a very big loss. And given how Storms played in the previous map, it's an even bigger one.
Good spot here for Guns, but he'll be naded off of it by Lackey. Basically a free kill given there was no Wamai Magnet nor ADS to protect him. Surprising that is the case considering Thatcher was banned by Altiora. Must have been cleared out by someone else earlier in the round. So good response there to the death of Storms early on. Now both teams will look for their next move. Looks like Nordik's repositioning for a master clear. So this could work because Bozak is already pushed up to Antechamber. He can make a lot of work from that spot. And there's nobody holding 90. Altiora, in fact, are all on site except for Spirits, who is on top main. The reason he's on top main is he's expecting a study take, rightfully so, as that is where Nordik were attacking from. Now, the one problem here is that there's an open wall in B. So Altiora, all they need to do is keep Spirits at top main, and they should be able to deny the B push. That's why Skies is still over on the study side. He is going to have the sole task of denying the rotation from the Jaeger and not letting the defense to flank the B bomb site take, allowing the players that are going to be pushing in from landing to kill the anchors and ignore the Jaeger.
The jig was up for the upside down rappel play over by that study balcony, so you have to go somewhere else. There hasn't been much motion or movement from Nordik. Now, they just could simply be circling the wagons and waiting for the call to burst on in, as they did previously against Altiora on that fabled hookah take that we talked about at length, and how they just rushed in and played it perfectly. Their job, if they're pushing 90, is going to be even greater of a challenge, as they'll have to march down Classical Hall with 2 magnets and a deployable shield in position. That was Mizio that was playing off of it. He's going to lose a fair bit of HP, 25%, give or take, but he guns down Lackey. His Skies has also been removed by Kira. If he pops up, he should be able to get somebody onto the doorway, and they'll just have a game of Ring Around the Rosie. 2 kills for Bozak, but he's running out of time. He's the only team member left. It's him versus Spirits, and he gets nowhere. Dot finishes him off, the other member of Altiora that was still upright, and Altiora will take the lead on Villa.
Well played there to Dot, taking that round. Altiora, a good setup there, counters the way that Nordik decides to attack. The initial assault in through study was repelled. They had to relocate to master clear because it looked like Nordik wasn't really sure what they were dealing with the open study wall, which is fine. You know, if you're not comfortable with it, try something different. The problem is when trying something different, you need to be very quick. And because the rotation from Nordik was so slow, they felt pressure for time, made a lot of decisions they didn't necessarily need to make. Well, no, they needed to make them. They just didn't have a choice. They didn't want to make them. And then after that, 1 player dies, 2 on the entry there from Nordik, and round effectively over. Nice try there from Bozak to salvage, but not enough in the end. So, we'll move on probably to trophy. Nope, kitchen. All right. Well, way off, I guess. You've got 3 real sites on this. This is typically the tertiary site, but it really, I guess if you're comfortable on all 3 of them, you may as well go to this one second. Altiora clearly comfortable on kitchen. Cannot fault them for that.
Well, your goal right now as a defensive team for Altiora is going to be 4 of these rounds. No less. No fewer? No fewer?
No fewer.
No fewer. 4 rounds for Altiora on defense. If they don't hit that number, unless they go over, if they don't hit that number, I would consider it a failure. Because you are playing on Villa, the expectations that are on your team, you are down a map, and that map happened to be your pick. So now you come to one where you weren't exactly the best team last time you played it. You only managed to win 2 rounds. That was it. Just 2 rounds for Altiora when they played against Mirage here last Friday. They've obviously got some practice in because they looked pretty good on that first round, but that's just but a small snapshot of what is going to be a much longer picture. So Nordik need to figure this out. If Nordik can take 3 rounds, it's a massive victory for them, and obviously it will set them up in excellent position when we do swap sides. The one thing that I will say about Altiora is that they are leaving nothing on the line. I get that this is just for second place, and some teams might be a bit more complacent and not exactly try as hard as they could, but they are just going flat out aggressive. They are going for broke as much as they can. And on defense so far, Altiora have excelled in playing as strong as they have. They've been able to catch a couple of players of Nordik off guard. In that case, they don't win the gunfight, though, as Bozak opens things up with a kill on the guns.
All right, top floor control established. C4 is still below, though. 3 of them, in fact. First one goes up, and it's a miss on the wrong side of a hard wall. Lackey survives. Now, there's 2 more C4s, and actually it's easier to coordinate a teammate's C4 with a mark as a pulse than it is to use your own, because you don't have that very important delay between switching from your heartbeat detector to your C4. Your teammate can just have the C4 primed and ready. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like that's what they're trying to do, and because they're not trying to do that, the second C4 will miss. Pulse really could have done some work to help his teammate there and netting one of those fish, but not going to happen. Mizio will get S4, so C4 might have missed, but his shots will not.
Still some gun battles from above. There's plenty of time for Nordik to be able to figure this one out. Their only real worry is that Skies with the Diffuser is on essentially 5 HP, and he will die very quickly to even the smallest bit of a nitro cell. Were there one on the board? There are none, though. So the flames of the Goyo shield, if any remain upright, will be his greatest fear. 40 seconds left now, as the last 20 seconds have been Nordik trying to play off of this verticality that they established by opening things up. And there's a very easy pick on Nemizio. He's sitting with his head in his hands, and another great shot from Storms on the Spirits. He's got 2 big kills to swing things dramatically in the favor of Nordik with 20 seconds left. Kira and Dot will try to hold down the fort, but Kira falls, leaving Dot in a hopeless position. Unenviable for sure, shot away at from the back, gets one, immediately pivots, can't go for a second, at least not yet. Sky's almost finished with that diffuser plant. Some damage looking to be done by Dot, but not a single bullet connects. Right now trapped inside a bicycle storage, and he'll be put away for good. Skies with only a tiny bit of HP will clean things up after getting that diffuser down. And Nordik takes round number 2, and we tie up the game.
All right. A big portion of that for me is just the soft destruction from above. Repositioning the defenders, the anchors in the site is huge. On top of that, the C4 is constantly missing. Of course, that's going to be a big factor, as Nordik didn't really look very uncomfortable above. Typically, when attacking onto kitchen, you're going to bring 2, maybe 3 C4s. In this case, Altiora brought 3, and you're going to want to coordinate them with pieces of information like Valkyrie cams, yokai drones, pulse, what have you. But those C4s just continue to miss, as I said. And I think that with being the most direct response to the kind of attack that we were seeing there from Nordik, and them falling so flat, it just looked like Altiora lost control of the ship. There were some good moments there for Altiora, of course, when they're managing to take fights through the floor their opponents opened and still win them. But ultimately, it wasn't enough. Storms, as you said, big round from him. Bozak has been continually showing up, I think, so far through this map. But we're only just starting. It's not the end of the world. Altiora just learned that they're not comfortable on kitchen, or at least not as comfortable as they thought they were. They'll change site.
The 2 players to watch on Altiora right now are going to be Guns and Spirits. Spirits in particular had a great first game. Guns kind of quiet. You are going to need really big performances out of them, because Kira did okay, but is still obviously adjusting to filling in as a substitute for Shima because Shima's PC exploded. Dot is going to be playing on roles where the contributions of those roles will likely not be on the scoreboard. So those are the people that you're going to watch at. Mizio obviously is the wild card factor. He had a couple really big rounds, single-handedly won 2 rounds on Coastline, especially that 3K that we saw where they all lined up. In the meantime, like I said, you're going to need big performances, because Nordik have actually traded off who on the team has been so impactful. Storms has been great. Bozak's been great. They've all had really good rounds, and there's depth on this team. This goes once again back to the comment that I made about how they work really well as a team. They're cohesive. There's obviously coordination on their end, and You just need to keep your eyes on that.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser. Attackers recovered the bomb
South side
diffuser.
clear here from Nordik. Even down below as well. Storms is solo clearing, but S4's got a drone on Guns right now. Storms is well aware of where Guns is. If he's allowed to take that 1v1, Storms will win it. Here he goes for the play. Pre-fires out, and he'll take that. One shot is inflicted, and Dot will finish the kill off, actually, from an angle above. But good information and coordination there from Nordik to get the initial kill. Would have been nice for Storms to get away with that one. But I think Nordik still are the victors, as they've nullified a C4 from below.
Well, I agree with you. I think the only real loss is going to be if they weren't able to take out the magnets or ADSs. Now you're going to have more in the hands of S4 because those are the only 3 throwables that won't right now be really critical to have in the later portions of a round, because there are 4 frag grenades, both in the Maverick and the Sledge's hands. So if Storms wasn't able to use those flashbangs or those breaching rounds, then you can be in tough shape because these grenades could just get eaten up. There's one, it's going to get dropped into the corner, doesn't do enough damage to Mizio. Kira with a big C4. It'll catch Skies and Bozak off guard, and with that, the round is over. Altiora 4 kills in rapid succession as they line them up and knock them down. The lead goes back in favor of Altiora as they take their second round.
Well, womp womp, I suppose. The second C4 from below is still useful. Again, would have been nice if Storms were able to get more downstairs. The challenge into in Statuary Door was they swung out of landing. Was pretty lackluster. I'm actually really surprised that neither of them won that fight against the Wamai at the very least. That really that's on Nordic's shoulders, man. I got nothing else to say there. One of them wasn't even a headshot. Apart from that, I guess don't stack up on the Master side. You know, we were seeing for a while there Nordik coordinate pretty well. The execution looked solid. They were trying to take control of Master and then pincer between landing and Master onto Study. That's a solid strategy. That's a smart strategy. They had the tools to get everything open and to make that a good attack for themselves. However, C4 from below. And that, again, that comes back to wishing Storms were still alive to continue the mission underneath for the attack.
A lot of that, honestly, was the stack up, and that was happening over by Bathroom and leading into Bathroom and then from Astronomy. This is one of the downsides of running a Maverick, and it was something that you talked about before we even got in, was that when Hibana got banned, most of the places where your hard destruction is going to go off in regards to either a Thermite or a Maverick, it's very easy to play below that. And most teams in this day and age are shooting out the floors, which means that you are extremely exposed if you are trying to take out a wall. And given the fact that there's a Maverick every single round, you're basically, telegraphing your every move. They know exactly that you're going to be going for that triple panel wall leading from the master bedroom into the bomb site. So it's very easy for somebody to play in that spot. And even if you miss the C4, the changes to the shrapnel system, most of the time mean that they're still going to do some damage to the people on the other side of the wall. So that's a rough spot to be in for Nordik. A bit of a misstep to have them grouped up that way. And a bit of luck, frankly, from Altiora. So it's back to Aviator Games now for round number 4 as we wrap up our analysis on that previous round. And Altiora have already lost one of their Goyo shields, and that was Guns' shield. And he's taking some damage from it. Oh my, that was near the top of those classical stairs. He's got another shield there too, so he's got a backup, but 50 HP gone off of Guns already. That's not the spot or the beginning that you want for Altiora.
Nordik trying to clear out underneath. They've got the information. Good drone work here. I love the way that they're coordinating a full clear downstairs, not just a half clear, not just one player entering by themselves. As a result, Spirits will go down. S4 placing that shot right where it needed to be. That likely was a roamer downstairs, considering S4's location. At the top of main, Guns will go down. Stun working out, even though it got caught by the magnet. Nordik now have full control of underneath. They're able to nade from below, and they have control of top main. Things are getting mighty difficult here for Altiora, especially considering that wall is open into the game's bar. Very little time for the defenders to peel away. They'll get off. Surprised that Mizio was allowed to escape there.
Yeah.
But he did, and so one more gun for Altiora.
Mizzou didn't even try to challenge it. He ran away instead of backing away. And if you were a second faster as Storms, you are now able to get that kill and push your team into a much better spot. That wall that was opened up, by the way, at the top of Classical, it's going to be watched by none other than Dot. He's at 50 HP, but that shotgun only needs a single blast to outduel most opponents. Nordik do have the numbers on their side, though, as they have 2 more bodies than Altiora does. They are currently being hung up to dry on main stairs, as there's a toxic canister stopping the Ash from being able to proceed. The Wamai will once again be a question mark as to where he's playing. He's made his way into the vault, and a flash will go off in front of him. All 3 remaining members of Altiora deep and nestled inside of the bomb site. Kira watching one door and will engage in a fight with Skies as they both seem to miss. Lackey is timed in, and there's Dot to clean up on Storms. Bozak is next in line. He has to scatter. The IQ will decide to take the smoke on an engagement. Kira goes down, and there you go. Nordik with 3 kills, just as we'd seen from Altiora in the previous round. It happens in a hurry. Nordik take 2 rounds on attack so far, and we are tied up yet again.
Solid clear there from Nordik coming into the site, collapsing as a unit. Honestly thought that we might have seen Altiora take that in the end after we saw the first successful win for them in a gunfight. Dot playing by the bar, he was doing some real work with that SAS shotgun, but then he eventually started missing a lot of shots, and Bozak picked him off. Meanwhile, we didn't really see the Aviator clear, but it looked very successful. Based on the kill feed. I don't actually know exactly how it was successful, because again, I didn't see it, but it went the way of Nordik, so the collapse works. Most of the rounds we've seen Nordik actually be able to clean up, or the only rounds, the 2 rounds we've seen them clean up, have been very different. The attack under the kitchen was slow, methodical, strategic, and it was successful because the strategy worked out. Clearing above, opening above, holes, force anchors to move, they die in rotation, done. The second round that Nordik managed to win on attack was a very different story. It was just a clear out around, then collapse on site, and it almost didn't work. The only reason I think it did is because of the man advantage that Nordik was able to acquire through clearing the roamers. So well done to Nordik. That's 2 rounds on the first half, and based on the way we've seen both of these teams play, I'd say that the defensive side, not necessarily by virtue of the map, but more virtue of the teams, the defensive side is heavily favored here. I am worried about Altiora when they get to defense. Or sorry, attack.
Or defense.
I mean, you can be worried
about them right now.
Worried about them all the time, sure. Why not?
You're such a worrier. Everybody knows you're such a worry wart.
Yeah. I wonder where that phrase comes from.
I mean, I wouldn't be super confident as well, but I will say this so many times. You have a player on the team in Kira who is effectively learning the ebb and flow of how a team plays, given that one of your players on Altiora is unable to play. And it's not even just that it's not even that it's just a random player on the team. Not that anybody's bad on Altiora, but losing Shima is tough. So, I mean,
did they lose Shima?
Well, I mean, Shima's computer basically exploded. Apparently, computer parts are on the way.
Oh, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, you were making.
Yes.
How dare you?
Which computer part? What broke? Exactly.
How would I know that?
I assumed there was like a tweet or something.
I saw a tweet before the game from Shima that said something along the lines of like, unfortunately, won't be able to participate in the Canada Division game today because of computer issues, but something like rest assured parts are on the way. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I saw it while we were waiting with to get in the very first game.
Well, it's unlucky timing, really.
Yeah.
You know, again, the at least the most you can take away from this is that from that bad situation is that the stakes it's between second and third place, right? For both these squads, it's really it's you know, seeding for next stage, and it's also bragging rights, really. And also, as you said, 10,000 Canadian dollars. In other words, 800
10
US
trillion
dollars.
thousand.
10 trillion thousand.
In all reality, it's 800 US dollars.
Yes, which converts to 10 trillion thousand Canadian dollars.
You know what's funny, and I've been unable to avoid seeing now? When you shorten USD or US division, it's USD, the currency, and when you shorten Canada division, you get CAD, which is also Canada, the Canadian currency. So
yeah, I've been talking about that since we first had the announcement. I was like, oh no.
Oh. Speaking of talking about, we can talk about Storms having a great day as he confronts two castle barricades. Last laugh from the grave of guns as it's the castle who got taken down. 25 HP remains for the Ash with only 35 seconds left, and even that 25 HP is not enough to challenge spirits. One from Kira as well, and it looks like another pickup from the dock above. A run out from the Jaeger will do nothing, but Altiora is just dominating in every way, shape, and form, leaving Lackey to go grab the diffuser and find the remaining members of Altiora, but he won't be able to do that. It was the pivotal spot upstairs inside a trophy that allowed spirits to just rain hellfire down on his opponents, and that's 3 kills for the dock as Altiora gets 3 rounds. These teams cannot shake each other one bit. Final defense for Altiora, and remember the win conditions. They must win this round to walk away happy with defense on Villa.
Yeah, if this ends up 3-3, I'd say driver's seat Nordik. That last round, as you said, top floor presence worked out great for Altiora. Nordik tried to clear into Memorial, which happens to be one of the most exposed places to a trophy. Because there was a dock and trophy, Memorial was a bad bet. They lost those fights. Well, not really fights. They lost the one-sided engagement that came from trophy. And then, yep, that's it. The clear really was ineffective on the top floor. I don't really think I don't really recall exactly what the thought was there for Nordik. It seemed a little bit loose compared to some of their usual rounds, but it is what it is. I like the setup from Altiora too. I like the way they did their defensive roam on the top floor. They'll go to the top floor as an actual site this time, and they should be able to do some work on the it looks like about the same setup, really. Interestingly. We did see this, I want to say, last time this team played.
Yeah, they opened up the wall. Wasn't this in the previous round as well?
Yeah, no, but it was a different site, I think. I was pretty sure it was Kitchen. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
You could be wrong.
Almost 100% sure it was Kitchen.
You could be.
They were just roaming up here.
You could be wrong.
Okay, I'll check. I will check right now. Thank you, Delay.
Please check for me, and then while you're checking, please relay the information in haiku.
I'm not going to do a haiku, but it was Kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll consider that a half victory.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, you don't get the haiku, that's fine. Rome upstairs is inside of Aviator, and Nordik will enter from the study and immediately take out that shield, and there it goes. Goyo's shield will not be spared. The fire will rise around the doorway as Kira and Guns now vacate Aviator and head on in towards Games Room instead.
Ooh, nice C4 hold. Bad C4 toss. Nade goes in. Guns is already repositioned. Well-placed nade there from Lackey. Skies will open up the wall. Now, this is a trophy defense, but the roam is very heavily set by Games and Aviator. Hopefully, Nordik knows that it's a roam. Of course, they're just trying to roam clear. They want to hit the site. They want to see if they can get a pick or two. And they're also trying to avoid this shield setup that we've seen Altiora do a couple times before. And they did it in their last match, I want to say. It seemed pretty popular, and it sure is an interesting one. I like the thought behind it. I did say I want these teams to find their own identity, and I guess that's like a facet of their identity. And it's worked out, I think, when repelling a master take, but it's not a master take here from Nordik.
I like the fall off from Altiora as well. Kira will creep down below, so you've got somebody that you're going to have to keep an eye on flank watch wise, and I don't know who's going to be doing that. I mean, there's also a Nomad, so flank watch is going to be a touch easier, and 2 of those air jabs have already gone out. There's another one that they could put onto the top of those stairs, those red stairs, which would prevent the castle from being able to retake. As well, Nordik are going to have to be very wise with how they use those explosives because they've still got castle barricades lined up in front of them. As Altiora's defense has continued to retreat deeper and deeper into the depths of the bomb site. First kill on the round will go to the castle, so there's your flank watch answered, and in this case, it was Skies that was on it, but the Maverick's going to have to haul ass. He's got 40 seconds left to try to get to the bomb site and begin carving away with that blowtorch. Of the last 5 rounds, Nordik have every single opening kill, but they don't have every single round victory, so they need to make sure that they translate that towards more. 25 seconds left as Nordik tosses in a grenade. It looks to be able to claim the castle barricade, but no, it gets caught by a magnet, so Nordik will struggle to entry through Master. There goes another grenade as Storms has fallen, and now Bozak is down too. Altiora with a lead in terms of man count, still playing on this position. A great shot from Spirits. Cannot get as lucky on the skies, but Mizio is there to have his teammates back. It's S4 in a 1v3, and as the diffuser gets down, he's a sitting duck. Altiora just needs to walk close as the Nomad sits there menacingly, gets off the defuse plant, and Altiora achieved what they needed. 4 victories on defense is good for them to win the first half.
So as long as Nordik doesn't lose their cool, I think they've still got a really good shot here. They now are on defense, and that is the advantageous side in this map and in this matchup. Most pressure here on Altiora. This is not their map pick. It is Nordic's map pick. Altiora's attacks looked terrible on their own map pick. How are they going to look now on their opponents? How practiced are they? How well versed are they for these executions? That's the main question I have here for Altiora. I like the defensive setup in that last round to cap that one off real quick. I like the way that Altiora sets up there with the shield and the wall, with the control of the angles, the castle barricades. Everything works out really well for Altiora. It's a really well thought out strategy to counter the people they're playing against right now, at least. And I appreciate that. Again, I very much respect that. And I think it makes sense that it worked out as well as it did. You could tell that Nordik was not ready for that. So, all that said, it'll be...
I do want to say this. I can just hear Nordik cursing, that darn bandit, or that darn bandit. I don't know how you'd play off of her name, but I suspect to a certain extent she has her fingerprints over that strategy, and it was well played by Nordik, or well played by Altiora rather, and it obviously confounded Nordik. They had a lot of troubles. I like that there was almost as if there was a call made at exactly 90 seconds for Altiora to fall back, and they played off of their setup perfectly. They never relented in their defensive closet. They were able to play off the magnets inside of the Master, and you had no ground to make up if you're Nordik. You just essentially treaded water, and I hate to say the gruesome imagery here, but you treaded water until your legs and arms gave out, and that was it. And then you sunk to the depths. So,
okay.
I'm sorry, did I get... Was that too dark?
A little bit dark.
A little bit too dark.
But at the same time, man, we are playing a shooter game.
I mean, we are watching people virtually kill each other.
That is true. That is happening.
And
right
you're
now.
going to take umbrage with my imagery.
It was only a tad morose, Parker. We're all good.
Okay.
No, I'm just messing with you, man. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I was really worried there anyway. Hey, quick question. How do claymores know who's passing by the lasers and whether to detonate?
Video game logic.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Nordik, just waiting in sight. No roam on the north side. Altiora setting up to go for a execution from below and landing. That'll likely be towards the B-bomb site. But the key is below. If Spirits can do what a Buck is capable of doing downstairs and open up underneath all of the common anchor spots, he will probably be a big part of why Altiora takes this round. If he fails downstairs, it puts way more pressure on the on the attack, which is executing from landing. They haven't even gotten past top red though yet. Now that's going to be a cornered Storms fighting his way out. He'll take down Guns. Not sure Guns was aware of that angle based on the fact that that was such a one-sided engagement. Skies will also get Spirits downstairs, and this is looking very good for a Nordik right now. Altiora not able to take these fights.
I like the positioning of that Valkyrie as well. With 1 minute left, you're just going to have to fight your own flank watch, as the Valkyrie's not going to give an inch. But the MPX is not exactly the gun you want, especially against the G8 with 1 HP off of Skies, but Lackey is there, and there's a crossfire that's been established to a certain extent. Though they are coming from relatively the same spot, just at different levels. Magnet tossed out earlier by Storms will save Lackey's life, as the Sledge is not able to do or the Maverick is not able to do a single thing. Posted up, getting as close as they can to the bomb site. More weight onto the shoulders of Kira, as Dot is well far and away with 20 seconds left. Unable to do much, Skies from down below. The fact that he got away with 1 HP means he can still very much toss up a C4. and he claims one member of Altiora, leaving Dot in a 1v5, a flawless round to start things off with just 1 second left. It sure looks like it's going to be a possibility, and it becomes a reality. Nordik take their very first defense in flawless fashion. They still trail Altiora, but the comeback is very much alive.
Well, if that says anything about the future of this map, it will likely be a comeback for Nordik. That attack strategy there from Altiora was to clear out underneath, and then also attack from landing, pinch onto Games or Aviator, whichever one seemed juicier at the time. But Altiora didn't even get to that step. They were confronted with the roam downstairs. They play at the top of red stairs, and the attack was unable to deal with it. That's the end of that story, really. There were a couple key moments there, I think, that really defined the round. For example, the IQ missing all those shots onto the Valkyrie and letting the Valkyrie slip away. As we all saw, that allowed for that Valkyrie Skies to get a kill later in the round. The fact that the Wamai was not droned out because he was playing at the top of landing. That was a really easy position to play if you're not known. I think that was Storms. Because Storms was not known there, free kill into guns, and we move on. There was no response from Altiora. There was no answer back. There was no, hey, we can cut him off. He's stuck in that corner. Let's kill him before he can get out. No, it's just more hesitation. And then the nades start coming out. No, they've got a 1-mai, so we can't nade. We need to take fights. And then it just, again, a series of 1v1s, one after another. And Nordik win. Clap, clap, clap.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Clap, clap, clap.
Clap, clap, clap.
Well, I did this on Coastline. I feel like I need to do it now as well for Villa and dive into what happened on those first half stats. It was obviously a 4-2 victory for Altiora on defense, which is what you come to expect on Villa. Everything goes according to plan there, and Altiora comes out on top. Looking deeper, there were no flawless rounds, no aces to take note of. 5 opening duels in favor of Nordik, but of those rounds, they only won 2. They forfeited the other 3. So just because you got the opening pick didn't really translate to a victory. So that stat that we love to reference ad nauseum about how, well, if you get the opening pick, you win 70 and 80% of your duels. Yeah.
Parker, if you get the opening pick,
what happens?
You win 70-80% of your duels.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot.
It is, actually.
Yeah, wow, that's a ton. In this case, Nordik only won 2 of the 5, so that's quite bad. They got the diffuser down once, and they won the round. That's it. Ultimately, not a particularly remarkable first half. Not really defined by objective play, not really defined by one team just simply outmuscling the other. I think it's safe to say that some of the defenses that we saw from Altiora were quite clever and looked very strong. So you have to give props to them, of course, and you'll see if they can translate that onto attack. As the pressure from Altiora is going to be down below, they know that they've got somebody trapped inside of the closet. It's the Ella of Storms playing in that position, and with an FO12, well, you're not going to be able to do that much. Pushed out and almost losing her head, but just a second too late. A Claymore set down, so if there's a jump out from bathroom, then you're good as dead. There goes a frag grenade. So much utility and time is being wasted on the single Ella of Storms, but not enough. There you go. Finally, the second frag grenade will land. Dot credited with the kill. Storms has been pushed off of that spot, and now you can take Master and Closet with a lot greater ease than you had before.
Look at the clock, though. Oh, that's a bad peek there. Guns gets his first kill of the match. Mozak, though, will respond onto Dot, so at least there's an answer. That was the player on the window. Still Altiora in control. They've got the wall open because Nordik opened it for them. And Guns will get his second kill of this match. Well done to him. Big round, impact frags. That could be the difference maker. Still lacking in S4 alive, though. S4's got a C4 as well, so he can throw his C4 from below and deny this plant. But he's playing by the statuary door. 25 seconds left. It's smart that he's on par with his enemies. It's in a position to do some work. He'll trade with Spirits. Nice reaction from Spirits to get that kill. No reaction from Lakido to Kira. And Altiora will take the round. Yeah, how do you not hear this?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Wasn't that where the proximity alarm was as well that went off and then got shot? Honestly, it could have just been comms. I mean, for us, especially when there's a lull or a downtime or something along those lines, or if you know there's only 20 or 30 seconds left and you know that something's going to come out in terms of the way that you're getting pushed, you know that there's there's drones coming in, there's utility that's starting to get dumped in, you fear that there's going to be a diffuser getting planted, your comms can spiral into an absolute mess. And I actually do want to specifically mention that we called a particular sequence perfectly, you and I, for Altiora on Cafe, and it actually prompted rather, one of their players to send me a DM. I don't know if you got it. I think your DMs are closed.
Yes.
I got a DM while they were rewatching the VOD and said, you actually called it totally correct.
Cool.
When you were talking about our, having problems with comms and being able to have a clear focus after we did a certain step on a certain bomb site, we struggled with that, and it's something we've been working on. And I know that you only speculated it, but I just wanted to let you know that, you were right. Nice. And I thought that was kind of cool because it's nice to get that feedback from teams so that we're not off base, but then also that there's some credibility behind what we say so that you as a viewer know that we're not just talking out of our behinds. So, it's very possible that small things like footsteps, gunfire, a faraway proximity alarm, etc., they might go unheard amidst the chatter of your teammates frantically calling, etc. And we've heard from teams, many teams, that have said that when they've picked up a new IGL or they've picked up a coach, the first thing that they focus on is comms. Clear, concise comms. And if you're somebody that plays this game at a high level, I would strongly recommend you go and watch those videos that Dark Zero churns out about their team comms, because they are quite nice to listen to.
It is nice to have that feedback.
Yeah, we did it, buddy.
We did it. It's a master hold here once again for Nordik. They've got the Ella in the same position. Same kind of setup. I mean, there's no real differences here. Altiora should be able to get that same nade kill onto Storms and then move forward from that. Last time it took 2 whole minutes to kill Storms. This time it looks like Altiora is looking to do it in 1.5 or thereabouts. Here comes the ADS clear into the closet. It'll be followed up likely by the nades from Dot. Still the player inside a bathroom as well. I think that's Skies. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it's Skies. Down goes the shield. So he's going to have trouble playing this position, but he's still got Storms in the closet. There he goes. All right, so that's a whole 45 seconds faster this round from Altiora. And it's 45 seconds faster because they know exactly what they're dealing with. And because they know that they're dealing with, they'll get that pick. But at least Skies makes it out after his teammate dies this time.
Yeah, he was on a hasty retreat with that MP5 in hand, and he was able to get to the bottom of Astro stairs, but the problem is that he's going to need to retake with the window watching over him. Another kill from Altiora, this time onto the Skies, Womai, as we had talked about, so he will not be able to really take up any greater ground. C4 goes off from S4, does some damage to various members of Altiora, but does enough to kill Guns. That's the first kill for NDK. They're looking for another onto the doorway leading inside of Statuary, as now Bozak takes a couple shots through that triple panel wall leading into Master. He'll have to fall back just a little bit and seek some comfort in the firm wall in front of him. You can't shoot through that. He might be able to return fire. There's going to be some calm now as both of these teams ready themselves for an inevitable execute. And the one most prepared is Spirits, but he can't control the recoil and totally botches the shot on the Lackey. That really easily could have blown this round wide open, taking out the Jaeger. Mizio guns down S4, and he gets traded off by Bozak. They must have known that the castle was in the middle of the bomb site, Lackey with one of his own on the Spirits. So now it's a 2v2. This is a very winnable round for Nordik. If you prevail as Altiora, you get match point, but you're not going to get any. It was a 4v2. It's an OV2. And round number 9 goes to Nordik as they are flawless in the final 30 seconds of the round, and they are close to tying it up.
Nice hold there from Nordik. Really playing their positions well. I love the patience on Bozak and Lackey. I agree with you. Spirits, if he had landed his shots onto Lackey, would have probably secured that round. I mean, you saw what Lackey was able to do. And that's just really disappointing if you're an Altiora fan. The execution was all set up right. Everything looks good. They're getting control of all the positions. The only thing that Altiora didn't have going for them was top red control. Now, that is a very powerful tool to have, top red control, when executing from master to trophy. or Master Statuary, either way, really. It depends on how deep you want to go. But because that top right control was not there, Lackey was able to leverage it to his own team's advantage. So Nordik take the round off of his diligence and patience, as well as his cheating death when fighting spirits earlier in the round. I'm surprised how quickly Altiora was able to clear out Master Side too. That was, again, it was about 45 seconds faster than the previous attempt. They really understood.
It was quite impressive. Altiora have looked a lot more comfortable on Villa than they did against Mirage last week. It wasn't even just that Mirage is a better team. I think after we watched that matchup, it's very clear to say that Mirage was the better team that day. But there is a greater understanding of this map.
5 seconds left.
I mean, there's a reason why it goes through the ban phase. Obviously, you have to let one map that you're not going to be good at or your opponent is really good at through with the way that the ban pick system works with maps. Fine. But I think Altiora were probably fine to come to this map because they struggled very, very heavily against Mirage. And it's not that Nordik haven't been coordinated. I think Nordik have been doing just fine. I just think that Altiora has been much more prepared. Their strategies look better. They are playing with a greater amount of confidence and they're playing together. Coastline, the biggest knock I could give against Altiora was that a lot of times they were not effectively working with one another. I can't say the same about them for Villa. They have looked much more refined and much more in step with every single player on this team. And once again, not to highlight Kira, but the fact that Kira's done that, I think is great. So that said, there's still plenty of game to play. Match point is up for Altiora if they win this round. If not, then both teams are on the same footing.
I'd say Nordik should probably be able to push this one. I think we're probably going to go to OT for this, based on how Leaf's been playing so far. No definitive answer to that, though. Spirits is playing Buck, and he could dislodge Bozak and S4 with the skeleton key, but he's just trying to challenge the staircase. I think maybe his primary goal is to deny flank at the bottom of main, but he's got Mizio there to do that now, so he'll rush up as the drums call out that there's nobody top main anymore. I like that Nordik decided to fall off that at about half the round. They did not take the risk and lose the players. They instead focused on their site hold. There is one soft wall on the A bomb site by the games bar that might be opened up by Buck later in the round, or even Zofia. Lackey staying alive on 90 is going to be very important. If he can stay alive here long enough, he'll delay the attack on the west side and be able to almost single-handedly stop this round from going towards Altiora. If he dies, on the other hand, you'll see Altiora have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the site execution.
2 kills for Nordik will start things off with just under a minute to go in round number 10, and they are looking to equalize. Obviously a nice shot, as Spirit says literally that in the chat. 3 kills now for Nordik, unanswered by Altiora, as they will need to try to step on in. They finish off the little remaining sliver of HP from Storms, but Bozak trades him out, and it leaves Mizio to get blown up. And with it, it blows up Altiora's chances of going to match point. It's that time of the game where I get to say the thing I love to say, Michael. After this round, the team that wins goes on to match point. It's 5-5.
Really?
Yes, that's how it works.
Oh, okay, cool. The 5-5. I feel like it's a common trend here. Based on that last round, I'm feeling like Altiora lost a little bit of steam. Their execution was kind of lackluster. They got top main, they got study, they followed. The open holes for Nordik were interesting, to say the least, and powerful, to be completely honest. It's the same thing we saw Altiora do, open up that single wall, inflict pressure. We've actually seen a couple US division teams even do that. Open one of the aviator walls to try and deny the push in through study. And actually, sorry, correction. Well, half correction, I guess. Altiora didn't open up a single wall. They opened up both of the aviator walls when defending on that side. Nordik doing the one, I think, gave them more maneuverability. And they were able to hold study off of just that. It was very lethal as well. Many kills coming for Nordik through just peeking that hole that they had made previously. Apart from that, Lackey staying alive on 90, absolutely massive to the outcome of the round. His position prevented the 90 repel. It also prevented the push on the West Hall, which allowed all the rest of the anchors to focus all their efforts on repelling the Aviator push, which turned out to be a really good bet there for Nordik.
To locate a bomb and defuse it.
So, we don't have the match on the line, but a lot of stakes on the line as Nordik seem to be firing things up. Their win condition is exactly the same as Altiora's, which is to take 4 of the 6 rounds. They are 1 round away from doing that, and they have 2 rounds to pull it off. If we see a mirrored score line of 4-2 on both sides, then overtime is going to be on the menu. And both these teams are going to be hungry to prove that they are the better squad on Villa. What it will mean, though, is that Nordik would take the series, as they're currently up 1-0, as you can see denoted on the UI at the top of your screen. This is, I was going to say, this is not that weird of a roam for Nordik, but bringing a bandit on this bomb site doesn't exactly strike me as the most optimal pick. I mean, yeah, you need some entry denial, but Mute is a pretty good operator. He's available. Kaid's a good operator. He's available.
He wants the gun.
I mean, the MP7 is formidable.
Yeah. Gun, 3-speed, comfort. I mean, I don't blame him. In this scenario, I probably would have done the same thing. I think many players would. The Mute can definitely slow down the drones more, but I say if you're up against the end, and that's where Altiora is right now, if Nordik loses this, we go to map 3. Altiora loses this, then, and by this I mean this map, then we will, I mean, we're done. Life moves on. And Altiora take 3rd place. So I'd say that the pressure's on here for Nordik, but much more for Altiora, and I think they're just comfort picking on both sides.
There goes the castle barricade leading into Master, and there's not a ton of skeleton key ammunition left for Spirits, as he does what Bucks do best, which is rip up the floor or the ceiling, depending on where you are, pretty quickly. Spirits have been challenged and lost a bunch of HP, but Nordik right now will stand pat. They are all still at a perfect 500 HP, so they have something to lose in terms of HP. They won't lose anything, though, in their engagement against Kira. Down goes the Nomad, and that is another opening duel that favors Nordik. Mizio refrags onto Storms, and the pulse being gone is actually huge. That is massive. Not only do you lack the critical information, but you also lose the C4 with it. That'll set us up for a 30-second showdown with very crucial operators missing on both sides. Obviously, we talked about the high stakes, and they have not gotten any lower. Toxic canisters timed very well as Skies had been punished playing off that A-bomb site. There goes another toxic canister. Bozak felled by what appeared to be a grenade and then shot away at by Dot. A refrag from S4, that's that MP7 as we discussed, and a missed opportunity from Skies, but it'll be the toxic canister to clean it up. He's going to tap away with that SMG-11 playing on the dining room table, but he can't outdo the Buck. In sprint Spirits. Only 2 seconds left, and S4 will clean up. Anticlimactic and kind of a strange end, as it seemed like Nordik had fallen mostly off the bomb site, but they come back in at the right time, and you can see relief on the face of Nordik. Great green screen, by the way. They've now won 3 rounds in a row, and they're on match point, series point.
All right. I think for me that, just put one person in laundry, maybe, a little bit. They decided not to do the top floor clear because the top floor clear would have taken too long, given the way that the setup was. It's fine. I get it. But yeah, still put maybe one guy in laundry to flank into site. You go for the execution. Stacking everybody up in storage and just rushing into the site is a no-go. And it worked out really poorly. Huge risks taken there from Altiora. And they did not pay off. Well done to Lackey once again for holding the line. You put him on the roll. Guy with the carbine, the Jaeger, and he's performing so far on that roll. He'll be switched to a Legion of all things. We go to Living Room Library. Speaking of risks, it's an odd site to go to as your potentially final round.
Well, you look at the site rotation between these teams, Trophy and Statuary is actually open again. Aviator was the very first defense. It was a flawless one from Nordik. They then won it again in round number 10, 2 rounds ago. They can't go back there. It's locked. Only if overtime ends up happening do we see it. Possibly. Trophy was lost in a pretty good take where the opening pick and then everybody else from Altiora came in. I think Altiora got like 3 or 4 unanswered kills on that round. But then Trophy was fixed the second time. But I think the fact that you struggled, and it is a more standard bomb site, I think maybe if you've got a pocket strat on Living Room Library, why not trot it out? I think there's some theory behind that. And we actually discussed this, I think it was on Wednesday, when we saw a library defense in the OXG TSM matchup, where we even said very specifically, there is value to bringing a very unique defense on a bomb site that teams don't often play.
Yeah, actually, it usually works out.
Oh, wow.
I think it's got a high win rate. 2 kills there for Nordik, and that is probably it. But Dot will get Bozak at least, so still not a completely lost scenario there. Nice job to Dot. If Altiora takes this round and pushes it to OT, you can track it directly back to Dot. But it's looking less and less likely as Lackey will get Mizio, leaving just Kira and Dot in a 2v4. Nade misses there for Dot. Kira downstairs trying to cut off the rotation of the roamers known to be on the main staircase. You'll see that the bulletproof camera will likely have called out both of them. And there's the second to last kill of this round in all likelihood. Skies will eliminate Dot. Kira in a 1v4. GG's already in the chat. And Kira put on the floor. Altiora will lose. Nordik take the series 2-0 and take second in the Canadian division.
Really well played by Nordik, and honestly, it sort of felt like after that 5th round was picked up in round number 8 by Altiora that the winds of change were in full effect. And I honestly would have given us a 3rd map. But, I mean, that's why we are not the prognosticators in chief. We just simply call what we see. We leave the guessing to Jesse and Veli, because I would have said that, yeah, I would have guessed in Oregon on the docket. But no, Nordik ends up taking it. They are absolutely dominant on their defense, as we'd imagine, on Villa. Let's bring Jackie in and we'll go over those 2 maps and then also have an interview lined up shortly after.
Woot! Hi, gentlemen. So Nordik does it in 2, so they take the number 2 spot in the Canadian division. I wanted to kind of pick both of your brains about what this means moving forward into stage 2. I know this was for seeding. Kix, why don't you start?
As you said, it's for seeding, it's for bragging rights, it's for understanding of where these teams are relative to each other, pretty much. And it's for, as mentioned earlier, 800 whole more US smackaroons. So that's, that's something.
Definitely, yeah. And I know y'all have been talking about everything we saw in stage 1, some major improvements from these teams. Looking forward to stage 2, what do y'all see for the Canadian division?
I mean,
and Tara, I'll throw that one at you.
I mean, even if we just look at Villa, what we just witnessed between both of these teams, they have made substantial improvements on this map and this map alone in just 1 week. The Altiora that we saw toil against Mirage on this map did just not show up. This was a much better Altiora. They looked far more confident, and they did so with a sub as well. Who knows exactly how they would have played if they'd had Shima on and they were playing at full strength. Nordik have just looked like they are getting better at playing off of each other. They know when to take gambles that will work out, and it seems that they oftentimes try to leverage their good teamwork to take engagements that they might be at a disadvantage at, but win from. And like I said, I honestly think it just circles back to the fact that as teams get more and more scrims under them, and they get more scrims under their belt, and they're able to play maps more and against better opponents, these teams are going to learn. They've made huge leaps and bounds over just 5 play days, and I think that they'll be able to continue on that trajectory over the next couple months.
Kix, while we were watching those the matchups today, I heard you talking about mental toughness a lot, and I know that this is a new region. They're probably dealing with these pressures for the first time. Do you have any advice for them when it comes to that aspect?
It's the same thing as strategy. It just takes time. You find yourself in a scenario that you've been in before, and the second time around, it's always easier. So you do your first LAN, and you freak out, and everything's stressful. Oh my gosh, and you bomb, you don't get the stats that you're expecting of yourself, then you go to the second one and you're like, hey, it's not as big a deal. You get more used to it, you get more comfortable with it. You miss LAN more. Wish we had those going on right now. And it's just experience. That's all it is. It's just experience. It takes some time. We always talk about how some of the most mentally strong teams in any league are the ones that have the longest running experience, and it all ties together. There's nothing else really to say. Give it time. Don't stress too much about it. Learn your lesson. Move on.
Yep, Canadian Division, we're giving it time. They just need to develop, and it's been a real pleasure watching Stage 1. But, gentlemen, we got Storms from Nordik on deck. Storms, congratulations on the victory. We saw you on the camera. You look so excited. How are you feeling?
I'm good. What about you, Jackie?
I'm feeling great. It's been so exciting to watch y'all. I'm sure you're feeling great about this win. You guys are runner-ups in the Canadian Division. I'm sure you feel proud of yourselves.
Yeah, we're pretty proud, yes. Yes.
Talk to me about how you think your team has developed over this Stage 1.
We were confident at the beginning of the season, and then we lost to Mirage. So we were like, okay, just it happens, we lost, but we know that we're better than how we played against Mirage. So yeah, we stayed focused and we played our games, and yeah, that's it.
Well, moving into Stage 2, what is your team's goals?
First place. Like, there's nothing else. We think we're better than Mirage, even if they're pretty good. But we know that we can beat them, and I hope we'll prove it.
I love the confidence. All right, Storms from Nordik, thank you so much for speaking with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Congratulations again on your victory. Let's bring it back to our casters. All right, gentlemen, you love to see that confidence. They're like, we can be number one. But I don't know if you all agree or not, but right now in the Canadian Division, we really don't know. I know, like, at the beginning of this broadcast, you were saying that you felt like Mirage has come to the forefront, though. But I don't know. In some ways, it's kind of still up in the air.
I don't think it's that up in the air. I don't think that Mirage is as far ahead as we had probably expected at the start. Yeah. And I do think that the team that's shown the most growth over this season is Nordik. But if you start at a 1 and you jump up to a 6, that's fine growth, and it might be more than a team that started at a 5 but then grew to a 7. You're still worse, right? I think that right now Mirage is by far and away the most experienced team, and I think that they're the team to beat in the region. I think that probably most teams would agree, but Nordik has the potential to be better than them. They have the potential to be on top of Mirage, and I think they know that, and they're going to work hard to try and achieve it.
All right, well, let's get into our Corsair play of the day. Y'all have any guesses what you think it could be?
Probably the Jaeger spray on coastline.
Yeah, this one's.
Let's check it out. Let's roll
this one better,
it.
It better be.
Corsair play of the day. Roll the tape, everybody. And
yeah, there it is.
There it is. Great guesses, gentlemen.
We called it.
Corsair play of the day. Yeah, you did. Nice work. All right, so really quickly, let's talk about what's happening moving forward. We touched on it already a little bit, but basically just seeding correct at this point. I guess, Inter, I'll throw that one to you.
Sorry, ask the question again.
Just for everyone at home, moving forward, what's going on with the Canadian Division?
Well, Mirage is going to be competing in the qualifiers this weekend. As for the rest of the teams, all it's going to do is just change exactly how they stack up in the next stage. That's it. And obviously, the higher the seed, the more favorable the outcome, because you don't have to play against equally good teams. You presumably will be playing against a weaker team. Given the fact there's only 4 spots, the only team to me that I don't think has proven yet that they're on the same level is Livid. But with the roster moves that they made, I think that they're probably going to be better. I think that their potential is certainly higher. You want to finish higher so you have an easier opponent. That's it. And you get 800 extra US dollars, which of course is $7 trillion here in my home and native land. So obviously that's something worth competing for.
Well, super exciting. Altiora versus Nordik is over. We are done with our Canadian Division play for the day. Coming up, we have some Challenger League action for you, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.